Hello, you Weeb Trash. We're Weeb Trash as well. I'm Cody.
I'm Dean.
And that
And
is
I'm
Sevi. Yeah, he's... You guys don't know him yet, but he's here. He exists. He's a person. We know who he is, but you guys don't, so, you know.
We want to get existential with it, we can, but...
I mean, are any of us here? I mean, we're on the
Schrodinger-
internet, so there's like a second level of us existing.
Schrodinger's Weeb.
I can call up Cole and we can turn this into a philosophy podcast if you want.
Oh, shit. You know, the anime thing wasn't working for us. You know, we had to pivot. It's just 3 episodes in.
Can you hear the AC in the background? I didn't even bother testing that.
No, I can't hear anything.
Oh, thank God. I got a new AC unit. I'm still not wearing pants, but I got a new AC unit.
I mean, you'll be slightly less sweaty, so that's... I mean, we
I was
couldn't
like-
tell, but we knew.
The only time I was burning up was when we were on the call for 5 hours, and we only got 3 hours out of it.
Yeah, that was a long one.
Oh God.
That was not torture, but it was it's getting there. You know, we
It was
weren't being
pretty-
waterboarded, but you know, it's the next enhanced interrogation tactics that the CIA is trying out. So to bring this back to a lighter note, yeah, Sevi is kind of the last part of the friend crew here. Got us all in here. We're gonna talk about dumb anime bullshit. We're gonna talk about what we're watching. So Sevi will talk about what he's been watching recently, not necessarily in the last week. And we'll go on to talk about our favorite Isekai, the IMDb top 100 20 to 30. And if we're not at like 4 hours at that point, maybe something else. But we'll see. I watched a lot of anime this week, so this might be a long podcast. But Sevi, do you want to kind of like vaguely introduce yourself and tell us what you've been watching lately?
Yeah, my name's Sevi, as they've said. That's pretty much it.
Boom.
Things I've been watching. Let's see, we've gone through a few isekais. I just did a rewatch of the time I was reincarnated as a slime, the first and second season. Because I had another friend that had started watching it and was talking about it, and I was just like, oh man, I haven't watched that in a while. And so I went and did a rewatch of that. Let's see, lighter anime type things. I watched the Netflix one, the Kotaro Lives Alone. It's pretty great. It's got all the things
Yeah.
you love. It's got trauma.
Yeah.
Mainly just the trauma. It's got a lot of trauma. It starts off, it's like, oh, this is kind of cutesy, and then it's just like, this is kind of fucked. But it's a good one.
Yeah.
So I've watched through that. Let's see. I started back up Kids on the Slope, which is an older anime. That's more of a slice of life set in the 50s, 60s. Well, it had to be later in the 60s. Kind of following around this classical pianist who, top student, moves around a lot, never in like one place more than like a year, who ends up kind of befriending the school delinquent, who he finds out plays the drums and is a huge jazz head. And they eventually kind of like start playing some together. And it's really fun. All of the episodes are named after like famous jazz songs along with that. The incorporation of like the music stuff into it I really appreciate. And then they've got like the slice of life stuff worked in there as well. So that was pretty good.
Really touches on your music degree.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like
Finally
if we
useful.
watched that, we'd be like, what the fuck is this? I don't understand any of it.
Yes, the 3 years I spent in jazz combos in college is finally playing off.
It made it just for you.
Yeah. They didn't even know.
Or they did.
So let's see. Watch that. How a realist hero rebuilt the kingdom.
Yeah.
That one. Which was it was fun in the sense that it wasn't just like you got teleported here and then you're just like, oh, you're super strong, super fast, you have all the magic. It's just like you're really great at bureaucracy. We are in economic like turmoil. Like we are. You think you could like business this up for us? And it's mainly that. Once again, it's just kind of like, did we need a harem? Like, did we? Did we have to have one of those? And
It's
did
a
one of
staple.
them have to be a child? Could we have just like done without that? Like,
If you ask Japan, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
They're like middle management. This comes with the territory.
Like, we know what salarymen like, and they like lolis.
They like lolis and pachinko and smoking, and probably drinking while smoking.
I mean, it started off pretty promising because it's just like, you know, the first one's like an arranged marriage to like solidify like his claim to the throne, to like the princess of the kingdom he's in control of. And then the other one is just like, oh yeah, she likes you, and he's just like, oh, I didn't say anything, and they're like, oh no, like we're a nation of like polygamists, like it's totally cool. It's expected that you would have multiple like wives, and it's just like,
That's the same. That's the same trope.
okay,
That's the same trope where it's like, oh, he's very famous and powerful. It's only expected to have more than one wife.
yeah.
He's
So,
a noble. He has to have a mistress.
aside from all of that, like, yeah, it was a fun take on like, you know, he's a guy. So one that wasn't like a really in-depth heavy isekai one, but by the grace of the gods,
Grace of gods. Yeah.
yeah, I watched that one, and it was pretty fun. Like it was pretty lighthearted. You know, he comes back as a child. He's not sexualized. They don't sexualize any of the children, so that was pretty good. They don't try and like force a harem, so I was like, all right, yeah.
This is pretty good.
This is a different take. It was pretty fun. It was pretty funny. There were some fun parts in there, like, you know, as he's kind of like as he's starting to do better and stuff like that, he kind of like starts up some business and stuff like that. And he's like so concerned that he's being a good employer. He's like, oh my god, like I haven't scheduled them like any days off or anything like that. Like I'm a horrible person. Like what if like the labor board comes and like shuts me down?
OSHA swinging by.
And they're just like,
Surprise.
labor? Like what are you talking about? Like, like they're just like, wait, you're gonna give us days off? Like that's crazy. Like,
What?
we're essentially slaves here. So like, the fact that you give us days off is like pretty great. So like it was fun. I'd recommend it to some person, and they had watched the sub, and they said the sub was really good. I had watched the dub, and
It's okay.
it's okay. There's something about like having an adult do a child voice.
Happens a lot in dubbing.
Yeah,
I mean-
but like I think there's only like a few people who do it well to where
Yeah.
it's like, too noticeable. And I noticed that like 8 episodes in of this show, I was just like, kid, your voice is getting real fucking annoying.
It's the same issue I had with last week when I went and watched the 1999 Hunter x Hunter. Whoever they picked for Gon in that one, it's like, okay, you're obviously not a young man, like, or like a young child. Like it's just like a 20-something-year-old guy, and it's like he's not even trying to sound like a child. It's like, yeah, this is bad.
Yeah, so in that Kotaro Lives Alone, because it's following around this kid, he's like 5 or something like that. He's like real young. And in that one, like he speaks like that's one of the things a lot of people notice. Like he's like, you speak really weird. And And yeah, it's like it's somebody trying to do like a child's voice,
Mhm.
but it's not so bad that I'm just like, this is super annoying. But
Right.
apparently if I remember correctly, in the Japanese dub of it, they actually had gotten a child to read the lines for it. So it's actually just a child's voice. So I was like, all right, that's interesting.
You don't see that a lot.
No.
I don't think that
You know
exists
why?
in the West at
Kids are really unreliable.
all.
Come on, South Park did it.
Oh yeah, they did.
Ike.
Yeah, I don't know that
Yeah,
they've broken
but-
into
Wasn't
the
like one of
greater
their-
thing.
That was like one of their kids, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of their kids. They like bribed him with like candy or something. They had to do so many takes to get him though.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I'd watch that. I'm trying to remember what all else. I started a couple other ones that are just like actively coming out. So I'm only like a few episodes in.
Mm.
Watched that Spy Family
Hell
with some
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Love
I
Spy
finally
Family.
caught up. I caught up early this morning.
I think I've seen like 4 episodes or so.
Are you watching
Yeah.
the sub or the dub?
The dub.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they got 4 episodes. The dub has 6. I started off reading it, and then I was like, oh man, this is really good. And then because there's only 1 episode out, so I was like, oh, I just want to read it. And then I stopped reading it, and then this morning I just caught up. I watched all 4 episodes of the dub. I was like, man, I want more.
Yeah, it's really. Speaking of someone that does a good kid voice, the voice actress for Anya is just fucking killing it left and right. I cannot get enough of that.
It's solid. It's solid.
Like, just
And
the
it's great that they
dumb
treat
words.
her like a child too.
Yeah, it's so good. It's like, I can't think of another instance where there's like a kid that is that well done. And it's like dumb things like her not being able to say the word outing and
Yeah.
saying it like 70 times in the episode, and you're like,
Oh my god.
she's never gonna learn this word. She's perpetually ooting.
She's ooting in her outfit.
Yeah, she says outfit wrong too. God, I love that show.
It's pretty solid so far. Like I'm digging it. Like I'm vibing with like the main spy character when he's just like
Constantly
it's also like
overthinking.
why I'd like never want to have a kid because it'd be like I think this one's dumb. I wonder if I can return it. It's like, yeah, this one's definitely busted. Like just find you another orphanage to drop you off at.
That's great.
So
I do really like the when it's like Papa's a big liar.
Yeah,
yeah,
Like, Mommy's a liar too.
that's
everyone's
great.
a liar.
They're perfect together. They both kill people. They like nobody else really knows what they do. They lie all the time to each other. Like
It's
Perfect.
great. Is anyone? So we've all seen like up to the part where like one of the headmasters, like the main one that like exists in the manga at least, but
elegant.
yeah.
Elegant.
So did anyone else get the
That dude has,
vibe
like, a hard on for elegant.
that he is the Excalibur from Soul Eater for this series, and he's just gonna scream elegant all the time?
You know, I had not thought about that, but like I definitely get those
It's-
vibes. The over the top like
That is so great.
of them all, and yeah, I can,
Yeah. Like when I read the manga the first run I ran, like because I just did it in bulk. I didn't like go week to week. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna like read 20 chapters of Spy X Family. I did not get that vibe, but in the dub, when I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my god, this is Excalibur. Oh, this is gonna. I like this guy in the manga. I don't know if I'm gonna like this in the dub. Like he's fine for now, but knowing how much he shows up later, I'm like,
I do like that his mustache looks like something I would throw on to like a character creator.
It's
yeah.
it's Sevi's created character. Facial hair at least.
Facial, yeah, I could do the facial hair monocle. But his face is way too symmetrical. I gotta tweak
Yeah.
that.
He's got to min-max some sliders.
All the
That's
way. Let's go.
It's true. Yeah, I have to come over Dean, so I can make a new character.
on WWE 2K.
Yeah, I wonder. Can you import Glitter Daddy over?
I don't think I can.
Uh,
You have to either give up or make them from scratch.
can try. Man, I really caught lightning in a bottle with him.
Glitter
He's
Daddy.
He's a beautiful boy.
If I had the picture on my phone where I can instantly do it, I would put it in there. But I think I'd have to do some searching.
Yeah, like try to send it to me before like Friday so I can throw it in here.
You throw it in the picture notes.
Yeah, I'll just throw it up on screen for a little bit.
You tagged me in something like that a little
I
while
think
back.
I think it was a memory of you making it or something on Facebook. It was like it showed up. It's like you did this 2 years ago today. I'm like, oh god.
The return of Glitter Daddy.
He was pretty great.
Comes back to the vengeance.
But yeah, I love the whole thing. I was talking to one person. They were like, oh, it's just like it's too over the top, too campy. And I was like, yeah, but like it's like basing it on like the 60s like spy
Works.
stuff like that. Like, and in that sense, like I feel like it really captures it perfectly. But that's just me.
Yeah, it is pure vibes. Like, there's no critical thoughts in that show. It's not trying to say anything. It's like, this is a 60s vibe. That's all you need to know. Have fun. And that's all it is.
Yeah, so but watch some of that. That was pretty good. I started that, was it Skeleton Knight in Another World?
Yeah. Were you just as put off in the first scene as I was?
I almost just stopped watching.
Yep.
Yeah, it's best just to skip the first 30 seconds.
It went on way longer than it needed to.
It wasn't even implied. It was like basically halfway there.
Yeah, it was
It's pretty
way more
rough.
graphic.
Then you have to see it again like 10 minutes later.
Yeah. They're just like, you thought we would let you forget? No.
No,
Honestly,
that was a flashback.
yeah, I'm only like 2 episodes in because that's all that was out at the time. Almost just straight up stopped watching it, but
it got better.
Yeah, I like how it's kind of gotten better, and like there's like almost like it's weird with how this started off, but it's almost got like a wholesome vibe to it.
Yeah.
In the sense that like, you know, that second episode really kind of like sent it home whenever he was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go help this girl collect herbs.
Yeah. And
And then, like, as
I
he's
just
like-
want to do this.
Yeah, and as he's walking around, he's like, oh, so these are like this. And she's like, oh, how do you know that? He's like, oh, like botany's a hobby of mine.
Mm.
Like in the real world, like that's something he enjoyed. And then like I think you get like a really like good idea of like the type of person he is, and the fact that like he's a pretty decent person because
Mhm.
he finds like this small little monster like hurt in the bushes, and his first reaction is like, while it's biting him and trying to injure him, is to heal it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, like he sees like something small, like fairly defenseless, hurt. It's like afraid, it's attacking him, but he like acknowledges that it's like a fear response, and instead chooses to like help it out. And then like I feel like that really, you see that kind of coming back around with him, like how he approaches things. Because it's just like, oh yeah, they slayed like one of like the like this, you know, one of these monsters and stuff like that, and then he came across another one. And he's just like, oh, would that be good for your village? It's like, oh yeah, I'll take that. And they're like, oh, well, how can we repay you? He's like, oh, if you could just like tan the hide, that'd be great. And, like,
Yeah.
just real like chill with it. And I was like, okay, all right. But yeah,
Only-
yeah, that first
Only
part
it's-
of that, I almost just like dipped immediately.
If only it started off that way.
Yeah, I would suggest anybody that watches it just skip that entire first section.
I can't
I don't
believe
feel
that
like it.
they like do a fucking flashback to it. It's like,
Yeah.
why?
They don't start off with the reincarnation. He's already there, and then the intro hits, and then it starts at how he ended up there.
I have not watched it. What was that one called? Was it
Which one?
not Demon Slayer. It was the other one that had come out a few years ago.
Demon King Academy.
No, it's one that also had like first episode.
Oh, you're
Goblin
talking about
Slayer?
Goblin? Yeah.
Yeah,
Goblin
that
Slayer.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never
never
didn't
watched
get past
that one.
that one that
I-
actually happens in.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. It's just like it starts off, and I'm just like, I'm not signing up to watch that like Goblin Slayer. Like, I don't need that. Like,
What is this, a snuff film?
Yeah.
watch
Effectively.
anime for escapism. You know, like
Yeah,
I don't
not
need
real.
like real world like issues. Like I don't want like actual like dark shit that actually happens in real life. In my anime.
Unless it's Kotaro at home or whatever it was.
Oh
What?
yeah, childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Oh, Coda.
Yeah.
It was done so well. It was done so well though.
It was done good enough.
So good.
It's a feel good show, but it's like the other side of that coin is that it's depressing.
It's feel good, but it has to feel bad.
Yeah, you got to feel bad before you can feel good. I guess. If your day's always just, sunshine and butterflies, you're not gonna know that it's that good
Yep.
until you've experienced like horrible sadness.
Yeah, and life has to come by and kneecap you and like burn your house down, and then you're like, oh shit, that sucks.
Yeah. And then I'm like 4 episodes into this other one. So it's called the Greatest Demon Lord is Reborn as a Typical Nobody.
I have that one on my list. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so basically this guy is a demon lord. And pretty much like everybody's kind of become a little afraid of him to the point where like he doesn't feel like he can connect with people. And so he kind of gets tired of it and it's just like, I'm gonna reincarnate. I just want to be somebody normal, just a typical dude.
This would be a bro.
Yeah. So, but the family he gets reincarnated into, he ends up being like the grandson of like some like great like mage hero, and so he's got like just like he's like really strong at magic, but he still has like all of his like mind and stuff as a demon king, so he still knows how to do like all this like insane magic shit. So the first episode is kind of funny because he's like a kid and everything, and just like super awkward because like he's been the demon like king for so long, or demon lord for so long, that he's just like, how do I make friends? And so all at the time it's just like him just like stopping people in the streets and just like yelling at him. It's like, I would like us to be friends now, and they're just like running off. It has pretty much devolved into a harem though, by
Oh.
like 3 episodes in. So that seems to be happening. But otherwise it's interesting enough. I mean,
It's good enough for trash like us.
it's one of those things like a lot of stuff like I'll throw up on like
Yeah.
one of my other monitors while like I'm working and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So there's some stuff I'll just burn through, and I'll just be like, okay, I watched that. I'm not happy about it, but
I did it.
it killed time. And that's a lot.
Yeah, definitely don't try to finish How Not to Summon a Demon Lord season 2.
You're the one that told me to watch the first season.
Well, I did. It wasn't finished when I was told you to watch it. I was like, oh, this is kind of good, and then it got really fucking. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like an entire orgasm scene in it, the first season,
Yeah.
where he's like, I have to like, I can like see the threads or something, and I have to like unravel them.
Oh.
Yeah. And so basically he just like fingers.
I forgot about that.
And at that point I was just like,
I'm
all right,
blind.
well,
I'm done with this. Oops.
I blocked that out of my mind.
Yeah. Because I was just like, so I watched that show you recommended, Dean.
Well, check your phone. I sent you the picture of the first 10 seconds that I saw on the season 2.
God. I
Okay.
imagine it's not good.
I don't know
Well, definitively, we now know season 2, not good.
I mean, I'm not gonna be the one to find out. I'm not gonna watch it.
Dean's not gonna make the sacrifice.
I'm good. I can't just watch that in the living room.
Nah, so you gotta like open the windows, open your front door, put it on like real loud, and then just.
I feel like I have to watch it under 2 blankets with my phone.
I feel like that would make it worse.
There's an implication there with that.
Yeah, because of the implications.
The implication.
I feel like it would be a little awkward, if she walked inside at home and it was just up on the TV and you're just like,
This is homework.
this is on Crunchyroll. I don't.
Yeah, I would just be like,
But if
I'm
you're
doing it
just
for the
sitting there and
podcast.
She's like, why is he underneath the pillows and bedding? And she pulls it off, and you're sitting there watching it. I feel like that would be worse. You see how that would look a lot worse.
Good time.
Oh man,
So, Dean, what have you been watching?
not that.
I mean, apparently. Or you have and you don't want to tell us. Time to set up security cameras in your house.
That's a different podcast.
Stay tuned for that one, I guess.
I'm not going to be in that one.
It's going to have a very different name.
No, mostly just been watching the weeklies. I watched everything that they had for Spy Family this morning.
I watched it last night because like there's only one episode behind. I got to get it done tonight. I saved all my 2-episode ones for today and barely made it.
I don't know when Trapped in a Dating Sim comes out. I feel like it comes out on Sundays because that's when I watched it last. That's another isekai that you can watch, Sevi.
That one's actually not terrible. I'm watching.
It's not. It's not harem-y. It's like
yeah, at least
You're going to have to give me a little bit more because you've just given me the title of it, and so
Trapped in a
far.
Dating Sim. So he's a shut-in, and his sister was like, I forgot she was bad at it or she didn't want to play it.
She was going on like a trip, but she wanted him to play it because the special song plays at 100% completion.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, beat this for me. And so he spends like 2 or 3 days or whatever, or a week doing it. I can't remember. I think it was a week.
Yeah, it was a
so
long
he spends a week playing this dating sim. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I'll pick up where he left off. It's this garbage ass dating sim, and like the entire time, he's just complaining about it. He's like, I hate this world so much. This makes no sense. And they intercut the gameplay, and it looks like a shitty mobile game. So like he goes out after like this week of playing it, not leaving, and it's kind of
falls down the stairs.
Yeah, it's assumed that he hasn't like eaten or drank anything in a long time, so he falls down his stairs and dies. Gets reincarnated into the game world, which is now like a full-fledged world, not like a shitty mobile game. And he's just like, I hate every single one of you motherfuckers. I just want to be a farmer off by myself. But the world is not a patriarchal society, but a matriarchal one. So like males have no power, and they have to like jockey for social climbing stuff. And his dad's like not a baron, but just below it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad's wife is like this really old bitchy lady who like just hates him for some reason. So he's like
a bastard son or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it is. An illegitimate child. So he's like, well, I remember, like, he doesn't immediately recognize that this is the game world. He's just like, oh, this is weird. This seems vaguely familiar. But then he like realizes, he's like, oh shit, I paid a bunch of money for in-game stuff. I wonder if it's there. So he goes and finds it, and then he gets a bunch of money, so they send him to the school where he's trying to like find a wife or something. But he's like, every single one of the love interests in this game is garbage. I hate every single one of you. I'm just gonna vibe on my own. I don't want trouble. But then he makes trouble, and he's like, fuck the elite. I'm rebelling. So
he's like
Yeah.
fighting all of the
there's mechs in it too.
yeah, there's mechs in it. It's a weird. It sounds like a really weird game.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, there's mech fighting
I'm watching.
in a fantasy world. Yeah, it's strange enough.
Okay.
It's kind of
Give it a-
like a low budget Konosuba without the like being self-aware.
Yeah,
Like the main guy reminds me of Kazuma if Kazuma was like good at anything.
and not pervy.
Yeah, again, like I don't think it'll go a harem route because he hates everyone. So he's like,
Yeah,
I don't want to be in love with you. I'm just doing like I'm fighting this battle in your honor because I hate that guy slightly more than I hate you.
yeah.
That does remind me. Was it called the Buffuri or something like that?
Oh,
The-
before he, I don't want to take any damage.
I maxed out my
Or,
defense.
so I maxed out my defense. Yeah,
Yeah, like also really fucking good anime. Just like
Yeah.
really wholesome as well. Like I loved that one. But like that was another one where it's like, oh, it's like fantasy sort of and stuff like that. And then at one point it's just like she's like, I got a mech power. I just turned into a mech, and it's just like, what the fuck? Where did you get mech powers?
Don't question it. It's fine.
I'm mid max, bro.
It's a viable strategy.
It very much is. It works in in Xenoverse all the time.
It works in isekais apparently as well.
Most of the time in isekais, it's just all maxed.
Yeah, that's true. Everything is
Oh,
max.
That's true. Everything.
Uh,
Their only
Yes.
min is their social adeptitudes.
Yeah.
yeah, accurate.
So yeah, I watched the third episode. I think it's the third or the fourth. But that I think it comes out on Sundays.
Did
Because I remember I texted you last week. They had the mech fight happened.
Yeah, how many mech fights are you in?
It's just the next episode he's fighting the prince.
Okay, so you were on the same episode. We're
Yeah.
current. So last week you had brought up like who do you think the other isekai person is? Because like
I think I'm right.
yeah, I think it is the sister because like she says something. It's like wait a second, that sounds like what she did.
She's like I don't know anything because I just made my brother play the whole game.
Yeah, so like either this is a common trend or
Yeah. So
this is
as
the same
the
person.
as the show goes, because he's like, well, I'm not the protagonist. I'm just a mob in the background.
You know?
And then when he goes to that school, he's like trying to figure out who's gonna be the actual protagonist. And so he sees this girl, and he's like, "Oh, that was who you played as." But then she's just a regular mob. She's not actually the MC. And then it's the short girl that he comes across.
You know,
And then he's like, oh, "Who the fuck is this?" And like, why are all the main love interests like all over her? And so he still hasn't figured it out. But like, somehow someone else got isekai'd into the same world. So we have two isekai'd people.
yeah, maybe it is his sister and like her plane crashed or whatever, and
That would be fucking awful.
yeah, that would be pretty bad. I don't know that he ever remarks remembering how he died, so maybe that we'll never know. But that would be ridiculous.
So other than that, I did start Grace of Gods on Sevi's recommendation. So I started watching that. I think I'm 7. He just went to the city.
Okay.
So I don't know which episode that is, like maybe 4 or 5.
I feel it's for me. It was such a lighthearted, wholesome anime.
Yeah, it's really good.
And it's almost like a palate cleanser.
It really was. It's like, oh, this is refreshing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
refreshing because it's just like, yeah, like he's got some obstacles, but like none of it's just like. Very rarely does it ever feel like it's like life or death with him.
Mhm.
Most of the time, like the stakes don't seem too high. I really like that. Like the gods just seem to like him. They're just like,
Oh, this is
"Really
a nice
cool
guy.
dude." Yeah, like he's really cool. Like even whenever he's dead and they're talking to him, they're like, "You're taking this really well," and he's just
It's
like,
everybody
what are you gonna
dies
do?
sometime.
the only time he gets upset is when he finds out how he died.
Oh yeah.
It's because
he
he
sneezed in his
sneezed
sleep.
so hard that it like moved his pillow and he hit his head and gave himself an aneurysm. And he's like, "Are you kidding me? That's how I died?"
It was
And they were like,
basically-
"Yeah, you were at a risk for aneurysm because of like how much stress you were under at work.
Yeah.
And you were being worked way too much." And he's just like, "That's so stupid." And then afterwards, he's like, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have lost my cool. Let me compose myself again."
Oh
And
man.
so like, yeah, like, and so like he just gets all of these blessings from the gods because of like just like how chill he is. And like he's just like he's just a good dude. And like,
The
you know, he
gods are
keeps
like,
praying to them.
He's like, you had a shitty life because apparently he had an abusive childhood too.
Yeah.
On top of that, and then he was like abused at work. So they're like, we're just gonna, you know, he's like, I just want to live my life. I just want to be on my own.
Yep. What was the other thing? It was like all these stats. And he's like, oh, with all these stats, I'd be great at cleaning.
Yeah.
So he's like just like cleaning stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a nice little palate cleanser. Like,
Mhm.
you know, he's a kid, but he has like a little bit of like a romantic interest who's like a girl that's like the same age as him.
Mhm.
Uh,
But they
But
don't make
it's-
it weird.
they don't make it weird, you know.
Yeah.
No,
Which is
it's
nice.
It's like what you would expect, you
I've-
know.
Like he's like what, 9 or 11 or
He's-
something like
might
that.
be- yeah, he's in there. Like he's a kid.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what you would expect from something like that. He's just like, oh, I really like her.
hmm
Um,
It's more lighthearted than romantic,
more
I guess. Suppose.
so that was good.
And then the latest episode of Love After World Domination,
Yeah.
which is Sevi, you
I-
might
Not
I-
heard of this one.
It's so,
So,
good. Holy
it's-
shit, it's so good.
it's so dumb that it's great.
It is.
So it's basically, you remember Power Rangers,
I do. I'm vaguely familiar with the show.
right? So it's as if the Power Rangers, and you know Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed and all them.
Yeah.
So obviously the person that is kind of in the place of Rita Repulsa is an attractive woman, not a weird pointy tittied witch like Rita Repulsa is. So basically,
Okay, sure. Dean.
okay.
Try to say that you're not into that. Okay.
So
Lie
it's
to us,
like,
but you can't lie to yourself.
yeah, so it's like Power Rangers, and you know they're fighting the Putty Men and Rita Repulsa and all her monsters and stuff. But it's if Tommy and Rita Repulsa had a secret relationship, they liked each other. So you have a supervillain and the leader of the super team.
But it's not actual Power Rangers, right?
It fucking looks like it.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, but it wasn't like
No, it's
Rita's
not
like
like
this like 200-year-old being, and Tommy's like
No.
this
No,
like
no, no, no.
17-year-old kid in high school.
no, they're both the
No.
same age. They both go to school and everything like that.
which is also confusing, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, apparently secret identities don't matter. I don't know.
Yeah, Desume's the evil female lady. Her identity's secret, but the Power Rangers are not. Like they're big celebrities, so everyone knows who they are.
They're
Which-
called the Gelato Force.
And it's what you think. It's fucking ice cream. It's so stupid that it's good. Like they lean into it too. They're like, yeah, like I noticed the last episode they go into like their whole like attack charge thing, and they have like their catchphrases, and one of them is freezing fresh heroes, and I was like, that is stupid, but I love every word of that.
It's like
Okay.
if you like Power Rangers,
So
you'd,
good.
you'd be. If you like Power Rangers and you like, it's pretty wholesome. It's like a
Yeah,
wholesome slice
super
of life.
wholesome, yeah. Like just a good
Um,
romance. Like it's
Yeah,
it's good.
I'd call it a good rom com, but
Yeah.
so I think it's the 4th episode came out this
Yeah,
morning
it's
or yesterday.
the one where the Pink Ranger discovers that it's the
They
Red
fight-
Ranger, and
They get got.
yeah, they get got, and then like she shows up later in the episode to be like, because the Red Ranger and the lady are on like a, I don't, she calls it something, I can't remember. It's like their school uniforms, and it's a date. They're in their school uniforms because I guess it's like after school or something. I don't know. But Pink Ranger shows up, and she's like, I'm gonna fight you for his heart because I love him too. And the Pink Ranger gets fucking bodied almost immediately. And you're like, yeah, you dumb bitch. Desame's the best. Know your
Desame's
place,
best
you
girl.
trash. Desame's so cool. Like, oh, it's so good. Like
She gets her ass kicked, but then like the scene after is like the most wholesome scene in the whole show.
yeah, she's like knocked out and sleeping on her lap. And the Red Ranger comes back because his lady friend was like, hey, can you go find me this very specific drink that, like, she gives him like, yeah, well, she gives him like what effectively sounds like a Starbucks order. And he's like, I'll check the vending machines. And she's like, cool, great, just leave. So she can fight this lady. And
Well,
he
she
comes
knew
back.
that somebody was there, so she gave him like an impossible order for him to fuck off, so they can talk.
It's just
But
crazy
instead of
he
talking,
didn't go to
yeah,
like a
that's good.
coffee shop or something. He just like vending machines,
They kind
custom
of
orders.
they kind of cement that he's kind of an idiot
Yeah, he's fucking dumb.
about certain things.
Yeah, but it's really good. Like this.
So he's a himbo.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
himbo, yeah, that's best description of Fudo.
Because they were like, because he was like, he asked the Yellow Ranger, he's like, what do you do for dates? And she's like, just go do things that you like. And he's like, okay. So he plans this whole date, and all they're doing is like working out and going on hikes.
yeah, he takes
their
her to the
first date.
gym, and she's like, just like bench pressing shit. And she's
She's
like,
wearing like a skirt and heels.
yeah, she's dressed for a date. And he's like, let's go to the gym.
And then he gets a phone call for later, and she's like, I was drunk when I said that. You should be doing things that you both enjoy. And then like,
He's like,
it's about what she wants. And he's like, oh, I fucked this up.
it's so good.
It's good.
So good. Yeah, like this takes the wholesome parts of My Dress Up Darling and makes them dumb, but also still very good. Like, even though they address very early on that like her supervillain-esque costume is revealing, but they like don't draw a lot of attention to it and usually draw her in like goofier ways. But there's like one scene in the first or second episode where like he tries to lure her out to be like, hey, I like you, can we not fight? But she thinks it's a trap, so they start fighting. And there's like a behind this like her back shot as she's like throwing her weapon or whatever, and it's her butt, and it's the like anime has weird angles meme. But then they turn around to do it to the guy as well, and you're like, equal rights, let's go.
Equal rights.
Who was it? The comic book artist who was just like had drawn, was it like Spider Woman or something like that, and like this like weird impossible pose or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like people started
Go put up
drawing
in
like
here.
all of like the male like Marvel like heroes like in that pose as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a
the
pose-
same vibe. Yeah.
Specifically to show off her butt, but
Yeah.
you're like, this is not supposed to work anatomically.
Yeah,
She has broken her back.
yeah. Like your spine would have to like go at like a probably a 75-degree angle, which can't do that.
But yeah, Love After World Domination's a banger. Like,
Yeah, it's super good. It's high on my recommendations.
Yeah.
Other than that, Skeleton Night in the Other World. I watched the newest episode of it. He saves children, so you get more wholesomeness in his personality.
good guy Skeleton Night. Let's go.
Yeah, good guy Skeleton Night. I'm waiting for the fact that he starts telling people that he's an actual skeleton.
Yeah,
He always wears
Yeah.
his mask, and people going, "What's a human doing here?" And it's just like, I don't know.
I'm doing human things.
yeah. They do mention that like he's just like why he's a skeleton knight is like his character had like in the game that he was playing had just been cursed,
Yeah, it's
and
like
he was
cursed
gonna
or
have to
something
like
that.
figure out like the curse to undo it or something like that.
Mhm.
Because he's just like, I'm a skeleton. He's like, how am I eating and drinking?
Yeah, and smoking.
Yeah, but he was just like, oh,
It works.
When I was making the thumbnail for the clip last week, I found that the scene where he's like in a hot spring or something, and he's just like chilling and he's like having a good time with a drink. I'm like, I don't understand how this works, but I don't care. This is a good picture. This is gonna work good in a thumbnail. But, yeah.
I think other than that, I think I started rewatching Gurren Lagann
Hell yeah, you did.
because I was hoping that she'd get into it. She was like, "They live underground." I said, "Yeah." She said, "Why?" I said, "That's part of the show. They tell you later on." She doesn't care about spoilers, but I care about them, and I don't want to spoil things for her, especially if it's something that we're watching. So she's like, "Why do they live underground?" I said, they just do."
Yeah.
She said, "Well, that's dumb."
I
Never
mean,
finished Morgan.
how far did you get? This will be important.
So
Did you watch the first half?
I started watching it
Mm.
with a friend, and we were watching the sub,
Mhm.
and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
I was enjoying it. And then I tried watching it on my own, and I was like, "Oh, cool! There's a dub of it." But
Yeah.
I guess it's just the voice acting is not as good or as bad, because I was just like, it was just auto playing and stuff like that, and I was just like, "Oh, I guess this has been playing for a while." I'm like, I have no idea what's been happening.
Have they gone to
Huh.
space yet?
I think they might have.
Okay, well you made it far enough. I mean, finishing it
I
is
don't
good.
remember it though.
But
The
once
last
you
thing I
get past
remember-
like 12 episodes, it's like you.
the last thing I remember is like they were fighting some animal dude.
Yeah, they fight. They
That's
fight
a-
a few of them.
Yeah, you have to be more specific. That narrows it down to like
Okay,
80% of
there
the
was an
episodes.
animal dude, and they were above the surface.
Okay. So maybe episode 2.
Insert Batman Beyond meme here.
I was probably like maybe 4 or 6 episodes in,
Okay,
Okay.
so
but I actually remember.
so
it's due for a rewatch.
yeah, just like if you can make it 10 episodes, you'll either get into it or be like, oh yeah, I hit the peak of this. I can stop now, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's good.
It's really good. I don't want to say the second half is shit because it's not shit. It's just
Yeah.
it takes a turn.
Yeah,
like,
it's just not as.
It
it's not
gets
good.
weird. It's not as ground. It's not really grounded anyway. But
Well, I know that it's gonna get really weird,
Undergrounded.
and then like weird space stuff is gonna come into it, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
aliens because like I watched Kill la Kill.
yeah,
And
yeah. It's same
apparently, that studio is just like, interesting story. What if we had space aliens?
yeah.
Yeah.
Anti-spirals, man.
No.
Yeah,
It's
it gets
more like an
it gets-
alien god, but effectively, yeah.
well because it gets so ridiculous. They get like the Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, which is basically the size of a universe.
Yeah, it's
or no,
just
it's either him or the one under it. It's like half the size of Earth.
Yeah.
But then you have
yeah.
the super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, which he is an entire universe size because they're fighting galaxies or something. It gets crazy.
It's fucking dumb, but it's.
I can't remember if that was in the show or the movie.
I think it's
where
in the
he's-
show. Like
the
I think
super-
they do it
yeah.
again in the movie. Or
What
Yeah,
they did in the
retell it.
Eternals?
Yeah. Yeah. How did you watch Eternals?
No, I didn't.
Okay, you're not missing anything.
Yeah, no one has like. I can usually tell if I'm missing something if I'm seeing spoilers for it. If I don't see
There's
spoilers
that.
for it, I'm like, oh, all right. The only thing I heard was the Blade thing, and I was like, okay, that's all I needed to know. He doesn't actually show up anyway, so
I guess I don't remember that.
yeah, I think it's the post credits. Like,
There's a post credits.
yeah, like Kit Harington's like looking at the
Or the,
Oh,
something.
Black
the
Knight.
Black Knight.
yeah,
that's all it is.
but
Yeah.
like you hear Blade's voice talk to him at the end, and everyone's like, holy shit, Blade. 'Cause-
Wesley Snipes? I don't want to see.
No, it's Mahershala Ali. It's the new Blade.
Oh, okay.
Because they're
There's a
making
new Blade?
Yeah. I think they're working on a new series or movie or something. Because everyone's like, oh shit, Moon Knight's gonna show up with him like in
Right.
something because like they had done stuff and they're like, there's a bunch of Dean, you haven't watched Moon Knight yet, right?
No, I need to.
Have you not? You slut.
I've been watching anime.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, yeah. There's a bunch of QR codes in it, and people keep scanning them. And like, one was a Moon Knight issue, one was Werewolf by Midnight, which everyone's thinking that's going to be like their weird Halloween special they're doing this year. And then another one was like a Blade issue, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, are we gonna see Blade?" But Oscar Isaac didn't sign a contract for more than just this one season, so everyone's like, "Is he gonna come back?" And I mean, the way they ended it, it would be cool if they did, but like if they didn't, it was still good.
It was super solid. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was very unique. I think in the Disney Plus shows, I think it's one of my favorite out of the ones.
Yeah, it was fun watching it with Hunter. Just because she's like, "Oh, does he have two personalities?" It's just like, yeah,
that's
just two.
Yeah,
Only
just don't say anything. Like, it was really like a lot of these things. I'll like just talk through episodes sometimes when we're watching it, because like that's what Taylor and I will do on the weekends. Like watch the new Marvel show, or like Obi-Wan, or we're watching Severance right now, which is also really good. But yeah, it was like, oh, I can't wait to see Jake Lockley. And she's like, who's that? And I'm like, don't talk, don't ask. Then I was like, oh, I hope we see Mr. Knight. And she's like, what's that? And I was like, you'll see.
You see that they're doing they already got a sequel for Obi-Wan together?
Oh,
I did not see that.
Yeah, Obi-2.
God damn. I like
Kick him out right now.
I immediately knew. I was like,
Kick
this
him.
is going somewhere. I can
You're
feel
the
it.
host. Kick him. Boo. All right, I'm done for the night.
Dean's gone. Here at the Weeb Trash Podcast, we've partnered with Debbie to tell you about their energy powders that help with focus while not bringing on the jitters or a crash. With chosen amino acids and vitamins, Debbie brings transparency to their products with everything listed on the labels. Currently, Debbie offers 4 different flavors with Dragonade, Dub Sludge, Galaxy Grenade, and Beach and Peach. Get ready to be better with Debbie and snag a 10% off with the code WeebTrashPod at checkout. Once again, that is WeebTrashPod for 10% off at checkout. Yeah, I've been watching things. I've talked like half of them because like Dean's watching like half the same shit, or I'm watching half the same shit Dean's watching. So yeah, Love After World Domination's great. Spy X Family's great. Atome's great, or the Trapped in a Dating Sim. I guess that's actually all we're like commonly watching. I didn't think I was gonna get very many episodes of Naruto in. Side note, Sevi, I've been watching Naruto because I never did it. So Dean was like, "You should watch it." I'm like 88 episodes in now, and if my hands could do things, I would be doing hand signs. I could see why people liked this back in the day.
Hang on a second.
Dean's gonna disappear, and I'm gonna talk about Naruto.
What's that one in Naruto?
That is the gun jutsu. That's the jutsu of the
You completely
side?
missed the fact that you could have made a blood jutsu.
I thought about it, but I don't know if there's actually a blood jutsu. So I was like, is there? I get the vibe there's gonna be one, but I don't really know. Yeah, it's a thing. I didn't start watching any anime until Thursday of this week, and I was like, I'll just get like 2 or 3 episodes of Naruto in, and didn't stop myself. Because I've been spending like the last 2 weeks watching Trailer Park Boys. Like before that was watching Naruto in the background while I was working. But then I was like, I kind of want to pay attention to this because some of these fights are really good. So I was like, well, I'll give Trailer Park Boys another chance. I don't need to pay attention to it.
Where are you at in Naruto?
Do you want an event or an episode number?
Of it. I'm not gonna remember episode numbers.
Great. Okay.
He just finished the Sand Village invasion.
Yeah. So
Hokage and Orochimaru.
Yeah, so Hokage is dead. Itachi punks Sasuke super hard when he tries to rescue Naruto. Like, Itachi's been there for 2 or 3 episodes at this point, and doing Akatsuki shit.
They're looking for Tsunade, or...
Yeah, they haven't found Tsunade yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's the next episode.
So,
of the
Hunter
next.
had watched it a lot growing up. And so, a few years back, like, I started it with her, and we were getting through like Naruto, and then like Dean was watching through some of it with me, and he's just like, all right, and we got to this episode, and it's like, and you can skip to the last episode now, the rest of it's filler. And I'm like, thank God.
I'm coming up on that.
Yeah, I've already prepped Cody whenever he said he was gonna start watching it. I said watch till episode 150 and then go to Shippuden.
Yeah.
Skip the last 3 seasons.
Well, and then I got maybe like a couple of arcs into Shippuden,
Hmm.
and Dean spoiled it that the little edgelord never gets killed.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
he was like, "Does
I don't give a
Sasuke
fuck,
die?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Oh, I don't want to watch it anymore."
they made such a huge point that like if you're like a traitor and stuff like that, then the punishment is death.
He's the
Like they
exception.
really sailed that. It's like they made sure that like that was like a big thing.
Yeah.
Like there's like one episode or something like at the first season, like the Naruto thing.
It's like those that abandon their teammates deserve
Yeah.
a fate worse than death or something like that.
Yeah, that they've turned their back on the village. Like you can never go
Yeah.
back, and that like you should be put to death and all that stuff. It's like okay, cool. Like he like straight up was like, I'm gonna go abandon the village and get diddled by a pedophile because he said I could have extra powers.
Yeah.
So
Powers.
that cool with you guys?
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
I was just like, okay, like by the village's own like rules, he should be put to death.
Well, they marked him for death, just no one ever caught him or could kill him. And Naruto didn't want to kill him.
Punk ass bitch.
So you'll be happy to know when I went from 65 to 88. In 65, he shows up in his new dumbass onesie.
Big black onesie.
Yeah, it is fucking dumb. Like his outfit before was like, okay, that's fine. The big black onesie is fucking stupid. And he's got all the like mid to late 2000s belts and straps and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
was
damn,
training.
Sasuke, you're going really. He unbuttons one of them at one point to make it look like it does something to do the Chidori, and it never shows up again. So you're like, was that like holding your arm still or something? That dumb shit. Rock Lee's still cool as hell. Fuck everyone else. Give me a Rock Lee show.
Hell
Like
yeah,
best character. Will never
100%.
stand Rock Lee to death. Coolest character. Where's a Rock Lee show? Like fuck Boruto. Let's get a Rock Lee show.
Also pretty great.
Yeah. Guy gets some good scenes later on.
Yeah, Guy is like the only person that like isn't he like one of the only people that Kakashi was just like, I'm not gonna fuck around with Guy.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not gonna take him to his limits.
No,
He's
just
gonna
like,
he's gonna open up all the gates and kick my ass.
yeah, they're like, man, he's like, you know what? I'll take on, whichever Hokages we got, that pedophile over there.
That guy.
What's his name? The snake
Orochi-
pedophile dude.
Orochimaru.
Yeah.
That's the one. Snake pedo. It's like, I'll take all of them on, and it's just like, you wanna push Guy to the limits? He's like, come on, guys, like
Yeah.
let's take a step back. Like, I'd rather be tortured for like 1,000 years in that red eye thing again
Kid jutsu that Itachi puts him in.
than have to fuck around with Guy like going all out. Like, ooh, let's.
Yeah, I like that. Like in the preliminary fights of the Chunin exam, when Rock Lee starts like opening gates,
Yeah.
Kakashi's like, "What the fuck? Why did you teach him that?"
Fuck.
It's like, bro, what'd you teach this boy?
He's like, the 7 gates.
That's not a big deal, right? I mean, they could kill him, but whatever. We're ninjas. We die all the time. Yeah, he wears weights on his legs. He'll be fine.
Oh man,
God,
Rock Lee
Lee.
is the best.
He's so fucking cool. There's
Another reason Sasuke's a piece of shit.
they
So Hunter had for a while watched that Boruto,
Yeah.
whatever that's one it's called.
Yep.
And basically, she was like, like Sasuke as a kid with pink hair.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, so like, does he get better? And she's like, well, no.
He dips.
I was like, oh, okay, so he's also a deadbeat dad.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So he's just an
Yeah.
all-around shitty person that gets a pass.
yes.
And which, like, he doesn't start coming back around and becoming like a mainstay in the series.
Yeah, until they make
And-
a show out of it. He's like, I can be on TV again? Fuck yeah, I'm in it.
Let's get that money, son. Let's get that bread.
Well, you're like, oh man, he's reconnecting with his daughter, and you're like, you got to think about it. His daughter's 13 now, so like now you can't just be like, oh, now it's a good time. 13 years later.
Like, hey, you're not in diapers, right? Cool. Like,
Cool.
you know how to walk and stuff.
You got the
Yeah,
shotting
okay,
gun
yeah,
now?
I could be a dad, I think.
Yeah,
I'll come
I
back.
could teach you ninja shit. I can
I'll
kill
come back
Does
with
she
you.
have? Does she have the red eyes?
Shotting gun. Yeah, she gets the shotting gun, and then he's like, that's cool.
He's like, I knew I was a dad for a reason. Pair of
I think
eyes.
I think eventually he teaches her the Chidori and everything. Also, Cody texted me when he was watching that episode.
Yeah, the
he says,
first fucking
said-
Chidori sound is so goddamn terrible. Like, I texted, I was like, does this show back up again? Because if it does, I'm gonna quit this series. Like, fuck this noise. It's so awful. It goes for so long the first time because they're like, it's a big deal, and it's like, I
Right.
can't underestimate. Like, it's so fucking terrible. Like, it hurt to
He's like
listen
try
to.
and maintain it for a while, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they make a
Yeah, he's
whole
training
big
for-
scene where he's like, he has to hold
Up
it on the wall, and then he runs down the wall and across like almost the entire stadium with it.
which
it-
looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. If they just didn't add a sound effect, it would be, I mean, it would be weird, but it'd be better than the like.
It was like really
It's
high
fucking
pitched, like
terrible.
it's like weird electricity crackling noise
Yeah, fuck this 1,000 birds
N-
bullshit. That didn't sound
n-
like birds.
mixed with the 1,000 birds scream that they keep that, but they don't.
It hurt, like, because he's used it several times since, and it's
Yeah,
not
it's
nearly
better.
as bad.
Yeah,
Like, 'cause I think it was also the mixing, because it's like the only thing happening, so it's super fucking loud too, and it's long and it's high pitched. It's like it hurt to listen to. Fuck that noise, forever. If like I will never stand that noise. Other noises that are weird I've noticed in the show. Whoever did the effects for the series originally just was like scraping the bottom of the barrel. Shikamaru, his stupid shadow possession thing.
a bomb.
That's fine. That actually didn't bother me. When it actually like shadow possesses someone, it makes a stupid Star Wars blaster sound. And I was, like the first time I was like, that sounded weird. And then like it's happened a couple of times since. I'm like, that's the fucking Star Wars sound. I know what that is. It's like, it's not a bad sound. It's just really weird. And it's like, okay, why? There's a couple of other sounds I can't remember, but I'm like, did you just not have, like, did your license run out on your sound library? And you're like, shit. Oh God, what do I, what can I use that's royalty free? In the Monkey King is probably the coolest part of the third Hokage. Dean says he doesn't show back up for too long, and I'm really sad about that because he's cool as hell. I liked that Gaara has his own depression swing like Naruto does. Like they show it and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, do all like the like sad abandoned children in these like shinobi villages have depression swings? Because it
Pretty
looks
much.
very similar to, and you're like, did they just like recolor the shot because it looks like the same swing.
some of the
that's funny.
some of the Jinchuriki are like exalted, like Killer Bee. He's got the 8 tails. He's like, he didn't grow up and people didn't vilify him. He was more of like he was like, he's like, oh, this is our Jinchuriki. Like he was kind of more of like a beloved person.
The
This
Jeep
is-
Grand Cherokee.
The Chief Grand Cherokee, yes. So
This is our all-terrain vehicle. He's cool. So I just thought that was funny. It's like, oh yeah, and I know he like kind of has this like bond with Gaara later on. So it's like, oh cool, they get to share their stories about their depression swings. Yeah, Gaara makes his big transformation. Lord Toad comes out, and you're like, Toad guy's so cool. And then like the
Pervy Sage.
the Pervy Sage has been there, but his big old frog guy is like, he gets summoned to fight the big sand monster, and he's like, yeah, I don't know that I could do this, Naruto. And he's like, are you fucking for real, dude? I don't have anything else left. Please help me. But yeah, then he goes to train with Jiraiya, and the Akatsuki are looking for him, and then Itachi's like, I found you, Naruto. And then Sasuke runs in and gets immediately punked by fucking Itachi. It continues to try, and I'm like, they'll give Sasuke at least one cool moment in this fight. They just don't. They just beat the shit out of it. I'm like, All right,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
this is pretty cool. This is good. Like, fucking Sasuke just gets jobbed out. It's pretty good.
Good. Sasuke fucking sucks.
I'm gonna probably keep watching it because some shit's happening and I'm feeling it.
Yeah, just be aware. They never actually get to kill him.
Oh yeah, no, I'm well aware. There was a point because like last week I only watched 2 episodes, but like in those 2 episodes I started to see some of the like, oh, I know that fight's gonna happen vaguely soon. And I'm like, okay, then I'll power through, and then it did. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. So like I start seeing some of the cool shit that I've been spoiled on just from existing on the internet. And I know he shows up in Boruto, so I'm like, oh well, he's not dead. He's just missing an arm.
Yeah, that's all the comeuppance he gets is he's missing an arm.
Yeah. Hopefully it was his
coulda-
dominant one.
He could have got it.
Though.
I don't think so. I think it's his left one. I don't remember. But
I
they
think
were
it's
like,
his left.
they're like, oh, because Naruto's like, oh, well, I'm gonna get me an arm, and so, he's like, Sasuke, you want to get one too? And he's like, no, this is my repentance.
He's like, I didn't die from coming back into the village, but I did lose my arm. So
He's like, I'll stay one arm, then I'll leave the village, and so he spends his adult life protecting the village from outside the village.
and then he's like, I conveniently want to come back into the village because I forgot I had a child that now has the Sharingan.
I mean, you know, because Sevi pointed out earlier, a good trope to have is aliens,
Oh god damn it!
and that's how it goes in Boruto.
Fuck this show. I mean, I'm still gonna try to get to it, but
I'm dead serious. It's aliens in Boruto.
but like are aliens the enemy or are aliens the reason for the Sharingan?
They're the enemy. They eat
Oh.
they eat chakra. They need chakra to survive or whatever, and they use humans as farms.
That sounds like a really stupid alien.
They have their
but
whole-
I'm kind of into
They
it.
have their whole other planet that they live on. And they come
Was
they
that
use
what
like chakra seeds
the last episode of Naruto? Was that what they were fucking around with?
in like Shippuden.
No. We skipped the last episode.
Oh, I don't remember.
It was finishing some fight with some weird thing, and you were just like, "Oh yeah, this just one event is the only important thing you needed to know from that episode."
Well, because it talks about the Sage of Six Paths, I think, or something like that. I can't remember really.
It was more about just like some stuff with Gaara.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So like stuff with him that leads into Shippuden. Which I'm not gonna go any further because I know Cody's getting close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assuming you do skip the appropriate amount of episodes.
Oh yeah, fuck no, I'm not gonna go
Yeah.
all the way through. Like it's been a struggle to get 88 in, and I'm like, okay, you know, I know cool shit's happening, I'm kind of enjoying it, but when cool shit
More cool
stops happening, I'm like,
Yeah.
mm.
And more cool shit's gonna happen. Then you get the Sasuke Naruto fight. That's I think like 6 episodes.
Fuck yeah.
It's hard, I think, to really sit down and dedicate time to like shonen,
Well,
Mhm.
because it is one of those things where it's just like, you know, I grew up on Dragon Ball Z. I love it and everything like that, but it's just like the hour-long fight that Frieza and Goku had because there's only an hour left on the planet that actually takes 5 hours.
yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's just like, you know, if it's a background thing, it might be a little bit better, but just like try and sit down and dedicate your time and effort into just like a shonen whenever you have like, you know, other animes that have like less fillers and are like to the point and condensed.
The moment that Goku and Frieza started fighting till the end in Z was 19 episodes.
Jesus. That's
What
a
is
bit
that?
too much.
That's about 5 hours, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, if you're 20
But I
minutes.
think in
19, and they're about what? This was in the 90s, so
20 minutes long,
Yeah,
maybe.
2022
30
somewhere.
minutes?
Yeah, 22 minutes with
I'll say 22.
commercials stuff cut out.
I'm trying to figure out. I think it was
So it's
7
almost
episodes.
7 hours. It's almost
God
7
damn.
hours.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, they had other things
ridiculous.
happening at the same time, but that was how
But
long
still,
it took
yeah.
from Goku versus Frieza till Frieza's defeat was 19 episodes. I think it's 7 episodes in Kai. I'm trying to look it up.
Jesus. I mean, that's still like a lot. It's been good. Like Black Clover was the same way. It was a good like background
I
thing.
need to finish Black Clover.
It's good. Don't go back and listen to like the last podcast or the one before that because I spoiled the shit out of it. Just like with no warning. I'm just like, and this happens. I'm like, oh wait a second. That's
Yeah.
Sorry to anyone who listened who hasn't seen the like last current episode. But yeah, no, a lot of background. No. They're
It's on hiatus.
Yeah, the writers they're on hiatus to start the arc to wind down the story. So it'll probably be like, I think they said 2023, 2024 before the anime spins back up. So
I was talking to somebody about it and trying to explain it without like giving away much of the story.
Yeah.
And they were looking at it and they were like, it's like 170 something episodes. I was like, it's a shonen. Like,
It's shonen.
it's got a lot of episodes, but like, it's one of those things where it's just like, there's quite a bit of filler episodes.
Mm.
You know, sometimes like it takes several episodes to get something done. And you know, it's more of like these mini arcs as opposed to just like, oh, this season we were addressing this storyline that we were working on.
In Kai, it's 10 episodes.
Great. So that's still like, what, 2 hours?
Yeah, it's like, but Dragon Ball Kai is like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It follows the manga, so there's no like filler or like memory flashback scenes.
I mean, it's been good for background. Like I said, there's some fights and stuff I'll notice myself like just kind of watching, but Black Clover and Naruto were both like, throw it on, doesn't typically matter too much. Another one that I might as well just throw on in the background because it's kind of still almost kind of a spite watch is Shikamori, or Shikimori isn't just a cutie or something. Everyone at like the start of the season was like, oh, it's gonna be like the new My Dress Up Darling, Shikimori's the new waifu, and I was like, fuck you, you're wrong, but I needed to watch it so I could tell people why they're wrong. And yeah, I did. I mean, this one did a slightly better job at making the characters kind of somewhat okay, as a kind of like a premise. It's a romance story. The main guy, Izumi's whole deal, the one defining feature he has is he's accident prone to the point that the universe effectively is always working against him, which is like, I've seen, I think, better, like just bad luck kind of gimmicks in other anime. Kind of sucks, but whatever. Shikimori doesn't really have anything special other than like bright pink hair, and she's like always trying to protect him from like getting hit by cars or signs falling on him and stuff. But they start the season dating. There's no like background, just like how they got together. I assume that comes later, but they haven't really even teased a little bit of it, which is weird. It just like, you feel really bad for Izumi, the main guy, because like just shit keeps happening, and he like in the third episode makes a very conscious effort to be like, okay, I'm gonna lose my wallet, so I'm gonna tie it to my belt, so if it falls out of my pocket, it's still on my belt. I'm not gonna lose that shit. I'm gonna pack like 4 umbrellas because what if one of them breaks or something? I'm gonna pack towels in case they break and we get wet. Yada 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 yada. And then like immediately his backpack just breaks, so he can't take any of that shit with him, and he loses his wallet anyway. And you're like, damn, like Izumi's the kind of guy that gets like audited by the IRS for a typo and then like goes into crippling debt. Like the universe is just trying to make this guy miserable, but he's pretty chill. But they're just not interesting characters. Like the show, it did a slightly better job of engendering like good vibes this episode, but it's still mid as hell. Like there's no defining feature. Tonikawa is a much better version of this with, I believe, like, I think it's not like as high definition of an art style, but like the artistic direction they take in Tonikawa is a little more unique, but I think overall the story's better. This doesn't really have any fan service, I guess, in that regard. It's a little better, but My Dress Up Darling is still a much better like story, and overall is much more interesting character-wise. So anyone who's like Shikimori's the best, get fucked. No, it's not. I'm not gonna shit on you for liking Shikimori, but you're wrong.
Cody's here to say your waifu is shit.
Yeah, I did. You sent me that thing of like Mal being like Shikamori's fallen off because like the ratings took a big dip. I had seen that posted on Twitter and a bunch of people being like, Mal should stay out of it. Shikamori's not that bad. And I'm like, you're bad. Shikamori's bad. You should feel bad.
And you should feel bad.
Like, it's just like super fucking mid, and it's like not been on like any of the weekly charts. So I'm like, I mean, you can like it if you want to like it. It's fine, but I'm gonna keep spite watching so I can just keep shitting on everyone that watches it. Yeah, it's not as good. Like, if people are really like looking for a romance story, there's a lot of better ones. Tonikawa is probably the most similar. If you want to be like kind of sad about things, Golden Time's really good.
Toradora's good.
Toradora's good. My Dress Up Darling, if you're cool with a little fan service. Like, there's some awkward moments, but that story's fucking cool. Like,
and none of them look like children.
Yeah, like, it's like, hell yeah. So these stories are like, every one of those but Shikamori's good. Suck at Shikamori fans. Kaguya-sama's really good. It's the 3rd season. It's still Kaguya-sama all over the place. The narrator's fucking killing it. This is one show I think that, kind of like we were talking about with like Gurren Lagann, and then last week Dean and I were talking about like Kill la Kill and Attack on Titan have this, that like the Japanese dub's better because like their screaming is more like it hits and you're like, oh shit. Kaguya-sama's better I think in the English dub because it's not like a straight translation. It's like, this is the situation, make it make sense for North America. So like there's a lot more like regular slang we use. It just like the way inflection happens. It adds its own thing, and it's just really good.
The time I got reincarnated as a slime is like that. Like the whoever did the English dub for that one just like added in like just little stuff here and there.
Yeah.
That just kind of like gave it a little bit more personality.
Yeah, it helps a lot. Like it does engender a reason to watch just the dub because it is different.
Yeah. Like I was talking to somebody who had watched some of the sub of it. Because like the main character, the Rimuru, who's just like a little slime and stuff like that, is like saying like, I mean, it's pretty dated slang, but like saying stuff like awesome sauce and the bomb.com and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like none of that's like in the actual like Japanese of it. It's just like stuff they threw in there in the English dub. But like it kind of gives them some of that character to it. Because it's kind of funny that he's like, because he was like almost 40 whenever he died and got reincarnated. So it's like this kind of makes sense that he's using like this dated slang. But like he's just kind of using it in this other world, and then like as a result, like other people have like started using it as well. Like there's been a few times where like, you know, this like really powerful being, the Valdora, that like, you know, he meets in the first episode, like, and later on he even talks about it. He's like, you know what, that is awesome sauce. It's just like, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I feel like it is very few and far between where you're just like, man, this English dub is just way better.
Yeah. That Kaguya-sama is definitely one of those for sure.
That
like
Ghost Stories.
Yeah. I mean, there are moments in Kaguya-sama I'm like, this is Ghost Story level. Like, no one gave them fuckers a script. They're just like, this is the animation, have fun. And you're just like, because the narrator plays such a large role in it. Because it's like kind of almost 2 or 3 segmented portions an episode, and the narrator transitions and talks about things. And he is just fucking having the most fun ever. It just like, you're like, this guy's having fun, I'm having fun. Let's go. And like, this is another thing that, not to harp on it, but My Dress Up Darling did this really well as well. Like, I sent Dean a text a couple weeks ago because I was rewatching the dub along with Shikamori, so I could be like, maybe I'm just trying to be biased and be an asshole. But no, I'm not. Shikamori's mid. There's one point that Maureen is like, totes my goats, and I'm like, this show's the best show of all time. Let's go. this has cemented itself as the
Yeah.
best English dub of any English dub to ever exist because it said "totes my goats."
It's totes my goats, my guy.
I think that's the exact words she said. She's like,
What show is this?
My Dress Up Darling. The whole like the English dub follows that very same kind of setup of like Kaguya-sama, and like here is just a vibe. Like here's what we're trying to convey in this scene. Go do your own thing. And they have the main female lead in it, Maureen, is voiced by Amelie, the lady that does all the English covers of like anime OPs on YouTube and stuff. She's voice acted in other things, but like she's just killing it. She's like all over the place and just like a bunch of slaying, and it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, Kaguya-sama, if you want a funny show that's like kind of that vibe, it's like 3 seasons in, it's still good. It's not falling off. Take.op Destiny came out a couple of seasons ago, but it's just getting, or no, maybe it's not just now getting a dub. Maybe it is. I think it is just now getting a dub. It came out last season of the one before. Weird, but good. Animation's really pretty. I remember people talking about that. It's 3 episodes in, I think, and they haven't explained fully how like the powers work, but basically some like meteorite comes down that has like weird effects, like it resonates with music or something, and some people become what they call music arts, which are basically like the stone itself has like a weird soul that is bonded to a certain song that like takes someone over so they can fight. And then like these monsters come out that are drawn to the music, so they have to fight them. So it's very like, so far they've only like mentioned 2 different like scores, so I don't think it's like nearly like the music anime you were talking about earlier, Sevi. But it tries to be a little bit better than just like average at it, and the animation's really cool. I'm excited to see where it goes. There does seem to be like a kind of a cost to the power. It's a pair. There's a music art and then a conductor. But kind of the focus of the last episode, they were like, hey, you're a weird conductor because it just kind of happened. Usually we train people to do this, but you kind of spontaneously did it and you lost your right arm to it. So whenever they go into battle, like his arm like disintegrates basically to do some shit. It's really cool. It's like, I think it'll turn out really good, and I remember people saying good things about it, but the dub's still going. And in more complex stuff, Legends of the Galactic Heroes is still really good. We get some more kind of third-party political stuff, and I'm like, yeah, this is my jam. Let's go. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say, because it's way too much to like go into why the like weird political scheming is important. But they did switch to like this season's 4 episodes in, and I guess like 3.5 of those episodes have been from the Empire's point of view. This one switched back to the Alliance, and then like a weird third party for a little bit. It's kind of good to see that. If you want a weird space opera that's like got politics in it, it's solid, and the new animation looks really pretty. So, but that's what I've watched this week. Now for our maybe contentious discussion on our favorite isekai. Sevi, I don't remember if you said which one you were gonna pick. What are you gonna go with?
What's the? Are we talking about like of the last year, or
Nah, just
Favorite
whichever
all
your
time.
favorite is, or one of your favorites. If you don't have a favorite,
Yeah.
just like pick one of your tops. I mean, we can let you think because Dean already knows which one his is.
Well, if mine is gonna be the same as one of y'all's, I'll grab another one.
Okay.
But
I don't think it's gonna.
I think I might have to say like one of like, and I think it has to do with like it being kind of like one of the first that kind of sort of bringing this back into like kind of before like everything was isekai'd. It was kind of beforehand. but Log Horizon.
Yeah.
I feel like
Okay.
that one, because like I feel like it's good. They're teleported to this game world, and I feel like I don't know many other ones where it's just like we're trying to get back to our world. Like we want to go
Mhm.
back home, and like that is a main focus of them trying to get back to to the real world, to where they came from. They don't know why all of these people are stuck in it, unlike Sword Art. The first part of season 1 of that, it was like, oh yeah, I've trapped you in here, deal with it. But the I like the lead character on there enough, in just how he's, his main objective is still like finding out like how do we get here, sort of a thing. And then what was it when it's the end of the first or the second season, Dean, whenever like he comes across that person he knew from back a while back, but she had like moved to like China or something, so she was on a different server, and they
Yeah.
managed to like make contact, and so they realized it's like, okay, it's not just us that have gotten trapped.
Right.
That's kind of a cool thing you don't think about with like game world isekais. If like there's regional servers, like
Yeah.
what if you have the wrong one selected? You just like go to the Japanese server. You're like, oh god, I don't understand anyone.
Yeah, so like
I'm lagging. This is terrible.
I need to go back and rewatch it, because like when was it that I watched that, Dean? Was it like 2019, 2018?
I think so. Because then a new season came out last year, right?
Was it?
I think. Yeah. So I think it was.
I don't know.
2019.
I need to. I was waiting for the dub and stuff to come out for it.
Yeah. Super
But
good show though.
Yeah, I feel like it was super good, because I feel like it addresses the thing that I constantly was asking with
Why?
what I'm guessing is gonna be your favorite,
Yeah.
which yours is.
It's Overlord.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's like, it's so it's like it's the final hour of a popular MMO game, Yggdrasil. So it's like basically long time tenured players of this one of the biggest guilds. He's like, oh, they're logging in for a last hurrah, and it's like I'm gonna stay logged in as the servers shut down. It's like a couple of people from the guild are there, and they log off. And
wasn't it just like one person that showed up?
I think it was one that was left. I can't remember.
There's like
but
one,
it could have been just
like,
one.
just being like one slime dude that was
One
just like,
slime dude. It's like, well, I got
it's
work
fun.
tomorrow.
Yeah, but I got work.
Because they're all like adults now. Because like they played this when they were younger. I'm assuming like in their maybe early 20s or something.
Yeah.
And now they're like they're older, and they all got like families and shit. Except for the main guy. He's like, I don't have anything. I hate my job.
I'm gonna stay here.
So he's like, so the clock strikes like midnight, and he opens his eyes and he's still there. And he's like, oh, what the fuck? And it's like he realizes he's still there, but like then he's like his own character, which is like an undead skeleton. And it was the evil guild, so all of the NPCs and like mobs and stuff in their guild hall, like they're all just like one's a demon, one's a ice crab, crawfish, whatever whatever he is.
He's a dude.
Twin dark elves and stuff. His succubus is his right hand, who's like super bonerific for him. So that's different.
Just trying to get that
Well,
bone.
that's because, was it right before
Oh yeah.
the server shut down? He went through and changed her character
Her-
settings.
Yeah.
Said
Like,
badly in love with Momonga.
yeah.
Oh my
And
word.
then he was just like, it's like, oh, if, the person that creates this season is like, he's gonna be so mad. It's just like, all right.
So then now that it's real, She's like madly in love with him. That's funny.
Trying to go to the bone zone.
Bone zone. And he's like, how does that work? He's like, I don't have a penis.
I am a skeleton,
And she even brings it up. She's like, I know you don't have a penis.
but you're
And
a
even
skeleton.
isn't there like a thing too? Like whenever like he thinks he's getting hot and bothered, like
He's
like
got
something
a
comes over him that just like
he has
turns off his emotions.
Yeah, just
he has a passive skill that's supposed to like level his stats or like his status elements or something like that. And so every time he gets like too hot and bothered, it comes on. And he's like, I'm fine. Keeps him level headed.
That's great.
But with its downs, it's still one of my favorites. I've rewatched it 2 times, and lately I've been wanting to rewatch it again, just because. But I
The
don't
lizard.
really. Yeah, I might just skip that. Because it's like they
Put it
do
on
really.
repeat. Is that what you mean?
Just those episodes.
They
Just
do a
those.
good job. They do a good job of like fleshing out most of the NPCs that are in the guild. And
Well, really, in the whole
Nazarick.
world, they really
they-
do a lot of
A lot of character building. Too much
yeah.
in the lizard though.
yeah.
I mean, like,
And
if they had
they got
just
intimate.
left out the weird lizard sex, that would have been a
Yeah.
good series of episodes. Like, the lizard people, you care about them,
Yeah.
so when they inevitably will probably die, you're gonna feel sad.
So
You're
he's
"Yeah,
like
I do.
well, he's like, I guess I'm stuck here. And after a while, he's like, oh, I guess this isn't a dream. I'm actually here. And then he's like, man, I wonder what happened or if anyone else is. Oh, I guess that's a problem for later on. It's like, I didn't have much going on in my life. I might as well live here. And so then his plan is to take over the world. He wants Nazarick to have its own like entity. And he's like, oh, we'll just take over the world because they are evil guild. And so might as well just keep being evil. But he's not. There's some scenes where it's like, oh yeah, I forget he's not a good guy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of there's a scene where adventurers invade the tomb of Nazarick.
He leads
And,
them
like,
there too, right?
Yeah, he like
In
leads
the
he's-
adventuring party.
He's like in the party. He like leads them there, and then he just fucking murders them.
It's entrapment with death.
It's some
Just
I
brutally.
forgot what his reasoning was, but like the people that were watching it were like bitching about it. I'm like, he's a fucking evil guy. Like, what do you expect? Like, I don't understand.
Like the whole reason we got so much of that like the lizard stuff was because he's basically was said like, I'm gonna come and invade
Yeah,
in like this amount
Oh,
of time.
I'm gonna test your metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he,
So then it
he
was-
kills like one or two of the like named lizards that like they show for a while, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Like that's where like after that series of episodes is where I stopped watching Overlord.
Well, they name a lot of lizards because they spend like
That's true.
4 episodes there.
They do.
Really? It felt like,
Half the
13.
season.
It
Yeah,
felt like it was like a full half season of just like,
It's a lot of lizard.
look at all these lizards.
Welcome to the.
What are we
lizard
gonna
show.
do with them all? Oh, we're gonna make them fuck. Like, keys.
Keys.
This is the lizard isekai now.
It basically was turned out. I was like, man, when are we gonna get more Eins? And then you don't really get Eins because it's Cocytus, the crab lizard or ice crab, whatever he is,
That shows
that
up.
was leading the charge because it was also a test for him too.
Yeah.
But
There are some NPCs like side characters or something in that get fleshed out, and I'm just like, fucking weird. Because there's that. It's season 1, the torture chick.
The vampire one that likes to like get sat on and stuff.
No, the one that like the when he's running around as an adventurer, and basically comes across like that one chick that's like
she's wearing
torturing.
she's wearing all the brass like titles.
Yeah,
Yeah. And like
She's
that's her
taking off of
outfit.
them. yeah.
Yeah. That was satisfying.
But she's just like super into that torture.
Yeah.
And so it's
But
like, okay, this is weird. And then even it was the end of season 2 or 3 where you get more about like the princess,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and like
You get politics.
Ah,
it's like she's like that one princess that's like like really into like that squire,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And then you find out like she's fucking
Bugs.
batshit crazy.
Yeah, she's insane.
So it's like all right, it's like we got a lot of like information on the characters and well rounded them out, and it's just like maybe we could have left those a little more squared. We didn't need those rounded.
But it's there's more. I think there's more good than there is like. I could do without that.
Oh
I
no,
mean,
it's definitely better. Like
Yeah.
because you have this guild of like evil people, like this evil guild, but not of all of them seem like super evil.
right.
Like the butler,
Sebas.
yeah,
Yeah.
who like saves the girl, and then the
Yeah.
girl comes and she's like, I want to work here, and he's just like, it's full of monsters, and she's like, I've seen monsters, like y'all are good,
Yeah.
like we're tight, like
Mhm.
I don't want to go back out there. So
Yeah.
like, I think that's pretty solid too. Is
Yeah.
it? I think it really paints a decent picture of like a lot of like not just Ainz's morality being, it's not a black and white thing, but more of a gray.
Yeah.
And while he is like, well, you know, he's evil in the sense that his goal is to essentially
World domination.
world domination, and he's doing what he's doing to meet, you know, the means are for an end for him.
Yeah.
It's not so much just a, you know, not like that one chick where it's just like, I just want to see you bleed. It's not like that.
Yeah.
And who's that one night, whenever they do end up fighting, he's just like, I respect you, so
I like the
like,
captain guy.
yeah,
the general.
he's like,
yeah.
I respect you, so like we don't have to do this. And he's like, I know I'm not gonna win, but like my honor, like I have to. He's like,
Yeah. Fight anyway.
I'm giving you an out, dude. Like you can come work for me. You can be a captain.
Yeah.
Like you've proved your worth.
Mhm.
And he's just like, I know, but I have to do this. He's like, all right, man.
It sucks.
I respect your decision. I'm gonna kill you. So it's like, I feel like because of that, he's not an evil person. He has a goal in mind that is less than virtuous, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get that.
Yeah.
But I feel like the morality there is really more like, not just with him, but throughout the show, is they paint it more of a gray scale than it being black or white.
It's like everything he does, even the good stuff, like he's getting something out of it.
Yeah.
So it's like he's not against it doing good, but he does everything that he does, he gets something in return. Like he saves that village right outside the tomb. He saves the village, and now he like claims that village as like domain. And he protects that village and everything. So he got something out of it, even though everyone in that village is like, oh, Lord Ainz is the best thing in the world, even though he's like, he'll fucking murder somebody in an instant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that was something I did, like I said, I didn't get super far into, but I got, I think, past the first season or most of the way through it or whatever. But I mean, it does a very good job, and Log Horizon, from what I've heard, does a very similar thing with this. Is the world is built very like good, like it makes sense. Any of these decisions and the people inhabiting this world are like, they fit. There's no weird like, oh hey, here's our trope character because we have to have one because you know this got to check the boxes. And that was something I like all of the NPCs had their own personalities, and he kind of talks about why that was and who created them, and you know, you can definitely tell some like weird fucking Weeb bullshit went into making them, but it made sense for the game world, to an extent at least. And yeah, I think that makes a big difference in the world of Isekai.
Whoever, I forget the name, but they made the twin dark elves. They made them cross dressers.
Yeah.
Or like the girl dresses like a guy, and the guy dresses in like skirts and battle skirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Why are you wearing that?" They're like, "My creator told me to."
Yeah, that's what I gotta do, man. This is the job.
I just do it.
This is how I was coded.
Deny the binary.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's good action scenes, especially when Hines gets to go all out. It's pretty cool. Like when he had to fight Shaltir because she was being controlled.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
fucking
And he was-
sick.
And he was just like doing all these. He's like, she was like, "I'll fuck you up." He's like, "Bitch, you'll try."
Yeah, didn't he have to like switch to this like berserker
He had to.
mode
I think.
or something like
He
that?
he
'Cause,
had
like,
to. He had to switch to like one that was mostly magic or something like that.
I thought he had to switch to something that wasn't as magic because like she
Okay.
has like a super high magic resist and he was a mage.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's just like, yeah, of all the
because he shows up and
all
it's
the
just him. In a,
girls,
he's just in a cloak.
Yeah.
yeah. I thought
Yeah.
he started off that way, but I thought he had to like switch at some point because
Yeah, at some
don't know.
point, like
It's
in the
so long
fight,
I've
he
watched.
has to, because I think he does that to like drain her mana or whatever bullshit
Yeah.
energy they use in this world.
Yeah.
And then in the fight, he does something like he switches modes or something to like tackle her or has someone do something
Yeah.
else. I can't remember, but yeah, that was a really good fight. A lot of shit happened in that.
And the 4th season's coming out in 2 months. So
Hell yeah! I don't know if I'll catch up, but if I do, I will probably watch it. Maybe I'll
Hell
take
yeah.
a break from Naruto and be like, I should catch up on Overlord.
I'll probably go back and rewatch it here pretty soon.
So I was a little torn. One I originally thought about that I don't really think classifies as an isekai per se is Gate, because it's weird. And it's yeah, Gate's not really an isekai necessarily.
I think I've seen
it's
Gate.
got a portal.
Yeah, like so basically a portal opens in like the middle of Tokyo to a fantasy world, and a bunch of like goblins and shit start pouring out. So like everyone's freaking out, but then like the JSDF come in and like just start shooting goblins and shit, and they're like, well, that was weird.
And they send armies through the gate, and then you just have people like fucking shooting tanks at dragons and shit.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
crazy.
them trying to like establish a communication to this world and find out why this portal happens.
Yeah.
But like every
Like Stargate.
basically, but like the portal's like constantly open, so they have to like make a base right outside of it, and every time they make connection to like a new tribe or city or whatever, usually there's a fight. So like it's just a bunch of modern military guys walking in with assault rifles doing tactical shit, and someone with a sword like running at him and just gets mowed down. It's very unique, but I was like, I don't think that's technically an isekai because no one gets transported. They just kind of like, oh, this is weird.
You get some of the soldiers like, oh, I wonder if we'll see elves.
Yeah, some of them are like, holy shit, and like there is a certain like degree of kind of like haremness to it, but the main guy is like, listen, I just want to be done with the military. I was trying to go to this like weird Dojin Fest thing. You interrupted me.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to be here.
He's trying to go to a porn convention.
Yeah, he's
That's what Dojin is manga, but
yeah, it's like
nude.
a fan
porn.
fiction manga basically, because Japanese like IP law is weird.
What manga is to anime, Dojin is to hentai.
Effectively, yeah. But yeah, so like the whole that's his whole thing is like he's just this big fucking weeb guy. But like he was special forces and like dropped out of special forces to go be a weeb. But then they're like, well, we got to call up all like our reservists and stuff. So he gets like put back into it, and everyone's like, who the fuck is this clown? Then he's like a badass or whatever. But yeah, it's just them trying to figure out how the portal opens. But I was like, that doesn't really count to me. So to make the conversation potentially contentious, Mushoku Tensei, let's go. I will say it's my
good.
problematic fave. I will 100% acknowledge that.
I will
It's good, but it's
acknowledge one of the things I appreciated about it that I hadn't really seen tackled in any other sort of an isekai is that a lot of the time, well, I wouldn't say always a lot of the time. I'd say maybe 50% of the time, the person that gets teleported into this other world in the previous life is a loser. shut in, lose, or something like that. But in this one, he is remembering stuff from his previous life. He's remembering the trauma he went through that made him into this shut-in. And then that trauma has carried over with him into this next life. I remember, was it like the 4th or 5th episode or something like that, where they're like, "Oh, well, we got to go out to the field to practice this thing." He's just like, out.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm not going out the door.
What's
We can do it in the yard.
Yeah,
outside.
We can do it in the yard. We can do it in the yard. She's like, "No, we need to go." And he's like, "I can't do that."
he's like, I can't leave my home. What are you talking about?
I cannot. And then you see the flashbacks and stuff that he has, and all this trauma he has that's been instilled into him, and it's just he is, the kid of essentially the well-respected kind of, not quite a lord, but kind of the knight of the village.
Yeah.
And he's a very well-respected family. He's the kid. He's not really done anything. No reason for people to dislike him. But he is still so sure that he's going to walk out and people are going to be throwing stones, laughing at him, all of this stuff. And there's other times where it's just he's trying to do something, or he's thinking one way because of this trauma he still holds from his previous life.
Yeah.
And in that sense, I thought that was well done, and I liked that.
Yeah, there's, I think, kind of in a similar fashion to Overlord and Log Horizon, the world around Rudius is very interesting. They do they go out of their way most of the time to be like, "Hey, listen, this world is totally existing, and Rudy doesn't really mean a whole lot to it. The Demon Continents is a whole thing. People don't really know what it's about." And you kind of get that, with Paul a little later on being like, "How dare Rudius come back and be like, I was having fun," and his friend's like, "Bro, the Demon Continent's fucking for real." He's like, "No, it's not." And he's like, "Have you been?" He's like, "Well, no." It's like, "Yeah."
No, yeah. It's yeah, I've been there. It fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's bro, it's a desert with monsters. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah, and it's if it was so bad, why was he talking so much? And it's maybe because he saw his dad disheveled and drunk as shit and stuff like that, and didn't want to make him worry anymore, and was trying to play off all of the struggles he had, and he was just like,
"Oh,
am I a bad dad?"
Oh shit!
It's just
yes, you are
100%. You're a shit dad and a shit husband, but we don't have time to get into that.
To both your kids.
Yeah,
all 3 of them actually.
Yeah,
you cheated on your pregnant wife.
They do a really Rudius definitely. I think he gets treated very uniquely in the whole character of any kind of anime in general, but them going out of their way to be like, "Hey, listen, there is a very good reason that he does not want to go outside, or that he's very standoffish with people, or has this kind of weird moral question to be a hero because he feels like he has to make up for past failures." I mean, there's a lot of parts of Rudius that are this doesn't really need to be here, but everyone else has that kind of similar level, at least the important people. Paul is a good example of this. Is Paul is this grade A swordsman. I can't remember Sword King or whatever the fuck the designation is, but well respected, supposed to be.
He was below. What was her name?
Oh, Ghislaine. Yeah, she was
Ghislaine.
Sword God, and he was a sword king or whatever. Because she was way fucking cooler than he was with a sword. She straight chopped some people in half. It was crazy.
No time flat.
Yeah, just it's a fucking weird rainbow light spectacle thing. Just these guys are in half. Good job being traumatized again, Rudy, as you got to see that. But yeah, no one in this world feels like a good person. They feel like this is a real, they feel like this is what a pretty shitty person in this world's supposed to be, but they have good qualities. Because when he goes to the other Grey Rat house, where he meets Eris and starts tutoring and stuff, even these lords and stuff who are supposed to be upper crust, all kind of some fucking weird people. The whole animal butlers, and then Like,
with them.
Eris's dad is like, hey, do you want to marry Eris? And he's like, bro, I'm like 9. And he's like,
Yeah.
but listen, I'll do it. And he's like, this feels kind of sketchy. But then he's like, I'm into it. It's really weird. But
It won't
like,
always be 9.
even like, what the fuck is, what his teacher's name? I can't remember what her name is. Blue-haired mage lady. I can't remember.
Oh, what is it?
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
His teacher?
Yeah. I thought it started with an R, but I don't think that's right. But anyway, like, even her as a fairly kind of minor but reoccurring character gets at least like an episode or two to be like, oh, she's kind of this freak outcast from her village who doesn't read minds. Roxy, yeah, there you go. So she feels alienated, which is why she's like one of the few demon people existing in this world, like open around humans and shit.
She's also super old, but looks like she's 12.
Yeah. But like that kind of gives reason for Rudius to be like, oh, I kind of want to learn the Beastman language and the demon language, and like has help from Roxy's. Like every decision that gets made feels like it has at least some kind of thought put into it. I'm hoping, as like, especially with the way the second season or second part, whatever, ended with Rudius and Eris, that Rudius is like, I don't trust anyone anymore. I'm going off, like, as a side note, he could have at least helped the like people in the tent city that were like, hey, can you help us dig a ditch? Like, it would take you like no time. But he's like,
and he was just like, no, I'm sad.
Yeah, I'm gonna sulk. And then he's like, I'm gonna go on an adventure to find my mom. Fuck you guys.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? I'm not gonna be sad anymore. It's like, you're gonna help us because we have a lot. It's like, no, I'm gonna go find my mom.
I'm
it's
leaving. That's why I'm happy.
Like, you
Yeah.
fucking little prick.
It's like, what the fuck, Rudius, you asshole? Like, they're definitely never gonna bring that back up again. I'm like, that's, god damn it. But yeah, like, I'm hoping Rudius kind of like that was a big turning point for him, so we don't fucking have.
Also, because they talked about like one of the neighboring kingdoms, and then wasn't at the end of that like Sylphie was saying that like she had been in this other kingdom, and they're like, you got to go find him.
Yeah.
To go help. So now it's like one of the only other people he did trust was his childhood friend Sylphie, and it's like, oh, and then she's just trying to bring him here for like military reasons. Like,
yeah, it doesn't feel like she's trying to reconnect with him.
Yeah, it feels like it's gonna be another thing of like another issue of like trust and stuff with him.
Yeah, and like
I'm curious. Oh, good.
I was gonna say like everyone that's watched the show is like, oh, that point with Eris is like you actually kind of feel for Rudy. They're like, god damn, that fucking sucks, Rudius. But like everyone kind of like doesn't think like or talk about, well, it does seem kind of like a good vibe or whatever. They left it on good terms. Like Rutger also left like an episode or two before that, and like he's just fucking off, and like Rudius is like one vaguely positive male role model has disappeared from his life again. And he's not gonna go see his dad, who, you know, is not a great role model either. But yeah, like yeah, Paul's like I said, everyone in the show, save for like his mom, kind of feels like a fucking terrible person, but also like a very real person. That like you would see them posting on Facebook about like it's a complicated relationship or something. You're like, yeah, Paul, I bet it is. Like, stop banging your maid.
Yeah, like the mom, like she was fine.
At least I don't remember her doing anything sus, but she might have done some shit.
Yeah, I think she's the only one that was innocent.
Yeah. I mean, Rutger...
I mean, she was an adventure. Like, I mean, I think she focused in healing and stuff like that, but we don't know what kind of war crime she committed.
Yeah,
but, like,
I mean, with everyone else,
Rutger,
it feels like
he was
impossible.
He was a good dude.
Yeah.
Like, you know, his main thing was just like protect kids.
Yeah.
Like that was his main thing, and like the angriest he got was whenever, you know, Rudy was just like, let's wait. And he's like, no, we shouldn't wait. We should go now. He's like, trust me. And then that dude just gets fucking murdered. And he's just like,
yeah.
I
like that it also, like, in a weird way, kind of ties to Konosuba in this way that they use the whole, like, reincarnation mechanism as, like, a kind of important thing. where he's like talking to the man god or whoever that guy is, and he's back in his old body, so he feels shitty about himself, and the man god
Oh,
He
yeah.
still
pokes
he
him
still
about
views himself as that
yeah.
Yeah.
weakling, that nobody.
Yeah. And it definitely, like, I'm hoping the other seasons that Rudius will stop at least either trusting people or kind of mature, one of the two.
So, and that's something I'm curious about, because like when Monkey Do was talking to Paul and stuff, he was just like, you don't know him, like he's so smart, and he's like, but he is a kid, like he's still a kid.
Yeah.
He was a kid alone, trusted to protect this other person on the demon continent. So like, I think there are times where I'm not sure if it's just like the fact that he is a child and still has like a child's brain, he just has like all of his previous memories, that like there are times where he doesn't process things quite right, or basically like what you'd expect from a child, sort of a thing. Like he's still developing, or if it's the fact that he was so stunted from what he'd gone through in his past life that, and yeah, he was probably like in his 20s or so when he died or whatever, but was he still like mentally maybe like adolescent, teenager?
Yeah, because he
in his
gets
maturity level. So
Yeah,
is
'cause-
he? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, because like I think they mentioned he's like in his 30s or 40s when he dies or gets kicked out and then gets hit by the truck, and he started shutting himself in high school at some point.
Yeah.
It feels very early in high school, but it's like it's really hard to tell. So like I think he mentally stops at that point of like
I'm guessing that he was probably, knowing like Japan and like their high school stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would guess that he was probably 14, 15 whenever he stopped going.
Yeah. And that does bring up a really good question that I don't, because like I as much as I like acknowledge and will not be apologetic for Rudy as being a fucking scumbag and the show deciding to make weird sexual choices with him and Eris and a couple other characters, he does like, they portray him very well in that instance of being like, it's not clear if he is fully mentally 40 or if he just has his memories but is still like in a developing kid brain, because he learns magic very quickly, but it's also in a different language, so it's like I don't think his memories would help him, maybe like a logical processing or something, but then like other decisions, it's like, well, that's kind of a weird decision to make for like a fucking 10-year-old or whatever. But yeah, it's a good fantasy story in and of itself, but like I think the Isekai element kind of adds to it.
And that's one of the things, is because like from whenever he's running around as a pervy like 5-year-old, like I feel like from that point to where like the point ends like in the series, I feel like he has matured quite a bit.
Yeah.
But like it's one of those things, like has he matured because like his body, like his physical brain and stuff is growing and has gotten to that point where it's actually maturing?
Yeah.
Or since he is now basically trying to go back and like address and fix some of these traumas that he's had, is he actually finally starting to grow up? And is he actually doing the maturing and aging like in a proper way that he never did whenever he was alive?
Right.
Yeah. It does make me wonder if like in the future seasons, if we'll start to see whenever he's meeting with the man god, if like he starts to change that perception of himself into Rudius, and if like that'll happen, and if that's like major turning points for him. But I like,
because I will say that like whenever he was younger, he was pretty like unashamed like perv.
Yeah.
but like, you know, towards like the end and everything like that, whenever the maid was like, "Oh, I've kept your like special treasure," like he's embarrassed by it.
Yeah, he's not
He's
like,
like,
yeah,
I
he's like,
don't need, like, I don't need that anymore. Like you did not need to keep that. It's one of those things where I think it's just like, you know, he has started to mature a bit, and he is kind of like, especially as he kind of like is around some of these other people that are just shitty people.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of thinking like, maybe I shouldn't be like that. And I think, especially whenever that fucking king that he ran into, whenever he was looking for Roxy.
oh yeah, the prince that like Roxy was teaching, that he like that he was trying to like imprison Roxy to like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that guy. I think after running into that guy, I think that caused him to do some self-reflection as well, and
Yeah.
think about like the type of person he has been and how he's been viewing and treating like the women around him.
Hmm.
And I think that also might have been more of a growing moment for him, which is why I think that in turn he is ashamed of his secret treasure that he had before, because he's realizing that the only difference between him and that prince or whatever is the fact that he was better at magic and he was older at the time. Because honestly, he was treating Roxy like viewpoint from his viewpoint, he was kind of like looking at Roxy and treating her the same way that that other dude was. So I think that might have been a bit of a wake up call for him.
Yeah, like and I think it goes to like kind of the flawed characters, I'll say. I wouldn't, maybe not realistic, but like the whole interaction with Paul when he finds him again is like one of the like hardest things to watch, because like it's very emotional and no one's the good guy in it. Like both of them are kind of in like a bad spot, and like there's so many good turning points for Rudius of like, this thing happened and it kind of set him down this path or whatever. And they do that with like his ability as well. Like he is a very powerful mage, but when they run into the dragon god guy, he gets fucking jobbed super hard, and you're like, oh shit, Rudius is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, this world does not need Rudius, and Rudius is this weird kind of
Anomaly.
Extra, yeah. So it's like Rudius isn't really like, yeah, he does some stuff, but he's like very inconsequential here. He's not the like overpowered main character. He's like, you got
he
some
lives
skill.
in a world where, you know, I think a lot of times like you see in isekais where it's just like, you know, one person can change the fate of the world, where in this one it's just like, you can do some stuff, but like you're not changing the fate of the world as one person.
Mhm.
Like shit, like we saw an entire kingdom like disappear,
No.
and you're on another continent, and that continent is going by just like if you had died in that whole thing, if that like unfazed at all. So it's like, man, for like one person, like it just really nails that point home, where it's just that you just, you know, it takes a group of people to make any sort of a change in this world. Like one person alone can't do everything.
No, it's really good. I'm looking forward to it being less creepy in the future, but I can understand people being put off by it, because
I think that's also another point they kind of like try to get across, is like one person can't do everything, is because he was used to like growing up being a super strong mage and being able to do whatever, and even being an okayish swordsman.
Yeah.
He wasn't good. He couldn't keep up with like Paul and stuff like that. But like, you know, I'm sure if he had like just like a bandit came across him, he could probably do okay with a sword.
Yeah.
But you know, it's he cannot make it on his own. He has to rely on others.
Yeah.
I think that's just true for a lot of the people in this world.
Yeah, because even when Eris takes off, like she took Ghislaine with her. Like she took probably one of the strongest swordsmen in this universe with her, and Rudius is just off on his own now.
That was another thing I think was important for Rudius to see, is because I think he had such a high view of Ghislaine and like how strong she is because of when she did save them.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was like, I didn't even see it happen.
Yeah.
And so I think he held her in such a high regard. And I think that was the whole thing with like Paul always wanting to be a better swordsman and all this stuff. It's just like how am I supposed to compete with that? Like she's just so much better. But whenever he was in the village she was from, like talking to her brother, it was just like, she was awful. Like,
she was a disgrace.
You couldn't get her to pick up a sword. Like she sucked.
Yeah.
He's like, she's a sword god now? Like
are you sure? Is it the same Ghislaine?
Yeah, is it our Ghislaine? Like
crazy.
Same shit. So it's like I think you also see where it's just like, you know, he got lucky with magic and having a lot of that like innate ability. But for most people, like they work hard to get to the level that they're at. And I think that's one of the things is like I think he always just saw Paul training in the mornings as him like showing off his body and everything like that. But I think, you know, knowing Paul, that was probably a component to it.
Yeah.
But I think another part of it is like he wanted to maintain and try to better his skill, and that meant that he had to practice at it. He wasn't just innately good.
No. That was I mean, this is like one of the few story elements that I have a problem with in Rudius, at least, is like the whole time, especially once you run into Eris, like Rudius is like training her in magic and just school shit, but she's training with Ghislaine with swordsmanship, and you see her progressively get better, and she only continues to get way better on the Demon Continent with Rudgerd and everything. For Rudius to like almost immediately reach her level when he gets the Demon Eye, and you're like, that feels very cheap. Yeah. I think almost immediately after he gets jobbed by the Dragon God guy, but still, it's like, why? Like, he's already strong enough as an individual. Like, maybe he's not Rudgerd or like one of these kind of legendary heroes or whatever. But like,
now he can predict movements.
Yeah, and it's like, did we really need to give him that? Like, you know, whatever. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's really good with some kind of weird choices made in creating it, but
I think the one thing is like, I think they even made a point of it where like even being able to see into the future and like predict what's about to happen, like even with that, he barely even has the reflexes to like get out of the way or like withstand Eris's attacks.
Yeah, he
like,
has to
he's still far superior than him when it comes to like sword stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's also another thing that like frustrated her so much was because I think, you know, she was okay with not being strong magically because she knew she had the sword. Like, you know, if for her, I think in her mind, it's like, you know, I can be the blade, he's the magic, and with the two of us, we can make it through. And then whenever it's just like, oh, I can't take him down with my blade anymore, so not only is he the best mage, but now he's the best like sword fighter. And so if that's the case, I'm useless. Like, what good am I?
No.
And I think that also may have contributed to why she wanted to leave with Ghislaine to do her own thing.
Yeah, like there is definitely a lot, and you know, I guess from a story point of view, it kind of makes sense for them to do that because he doesn't really use it too much because he's never like in a straight fight most of the time.
I feel like it's they're setting it up for something later on.
Yeah, like this definitely feels like a show that they have planned, and I know the manga's probably still, you know, it's quite a bit longer than the anime so far. But it feels like this is going to be like a 5 or 6 season thing they're planning out. Like, oh, this is going to happen mid-season 4. We're going to make this call back. This kind of Like, I think we'll see Rudius get to an adult at some point. Or at least I hope
Whenever
we do.
did he have the dragon eye when he came across the dragon god?
Yeah, because he sees, like, he uses it and, like, it doesn't work, or he's, like, too fast for it and he freaks out.
Yeah.
And then he, like, I think that's at the point where, like, Eris, like, tries to jump in and then Dragon God guy, like, throws her up against the wall or whatever. But, like, yeah, he can't even really use it very well. Like, it is useful, but even when he's sparring with Eris at first after he gets it, he, like, has to think very dedicatedly to, like, I have to focus just, like, 1 second or two, because like, if I look too far forward, I can't do it, or it doesn't work or whatever.
And I think at one point they said that, like, other people that have had it, and, like, the most somebody was able to make use of it was, like, 9 seconds into the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure it's going to be used something that, like, he's going to be able to start seeing further and further into the future.
Yeah.
So, like, it might be something that, like, you know, that's how he starts finding some of the people that have been lost, is by just using the eye and just, like, going through every path that if he starts taking this path, like, where would that lead him down, sort of a thing. So I could maybe see something like that, as long as it doesn't go that whole, what was that Nicolas Cage movie? What was it called?
Oh, the one where he, like, sees into the future.
Yeah, he can see like a minute into the future or something like that.
Oh.
And everything, and, like, it goes down this huge rabbit hole where, like, you know, federal agents are trying to get him because somebody's put a bomb somewhere and they need to use his powers to figure out where it's at and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of the movie, after everything that's happened, it all comes back to he's sitting back in the diner talking to the girl he liked. And he's just like, oh, wow, I just saw, like, days into the future. And it's just like, fuck yourself.
Yeah, like, I want it to stay a very minor thing, because, like, and I think maybe that's why they give it to Rudius, is because, like, he can't really make great use of it. Like, if Eris had it, Eris would be way more competent as a fighter, or Rutger would be fucking unstoppable in some instances. Yeah. But yeah, like, it has a lot of good things going for it, with some very questionable decisions that people can justify or not. But yeah, like, problematic fave. I think that's a good way to describe it.
I am curious how, because up through the first part, before the mana concentration
thingy
goes off, the whole thing is that they're like, oh, we can't have this, like, happen, like, all this happened, the demon queen's gonna be resurrected and all this stuff, like, can't happen, all of this. And then, like, that seems like it's a big thing, and then all of a sudden it's all just about, we're trying to survive, we're not even talking about that anymore. Like, Rudius and Roxy meet the demon queen,
yeah,
and which is where he gets the demon eye. But it seems like everyone's just kind of like, it's like, whatever. Like, it's been just completely glossed over, so.
Yeah, like Roxy and Rudius both, like, have reason to believe that she is who she says she is. And they're like, yeah, whatever, I've got more important shit to do. I gotta go find my siblings or my mom, or I gotta go find Rudius in Roxy's case.
Glossed over, just like the dragon that apparently was in Yggdrasil with Einzel Cone. It's like, another player, and then that was, like, in the first season, and then you never talk about it again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wasn't there something about other players being isekai here? Oh, no,
I like how, because they start doing season 2 and stuff like that, and, like, they get halfway through writing season 2, and they're like, I think you're forgetting something. And the guy was like, I don't know what you mean. They're like,
you know,
kind of a big thing.
Big deal.
Gaily. He's like, lizard sex. Got it.
Lizard sex.
He's
Got
like,
it.
that's not what.
10 episodes.
We need to make these lizards way more, ingratiate them to the people, make them feel like they're important. We gotta have them fuck.
Gotta make people care.
Yeah, and how do you do
And
that?
then-
Lizard sex.
And then when you use them in the war, the whole reason you had that, they're only in it for like 5 minutes.
Some strange
So-
choices are made.
Okay, so Dean, off of Cody's favorite.
Yeah.
What's your top isekai not related to a game? So like isekai into like a fantasy world.
The one I just watched was The World's Finest Assassin gets turned into reincarnated as an aristocrat. But that one was really good. It also has its weird harem moments,
Mhm.
but like not as
Oh.
much.
Was that the one? Did the guy that made Redo of Healer do that one as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was
that's the one
watching it,
thought
and
was.
I was watching it and I was like, I want to find out who made this. And then I was like, oh, it's the dude that made Redo of Healer. That
What's
sucks.
that?
But so that Redo of Healer is like it's like revenge.
It's revenge
porn.
porn, basically. Like it's a bunch of people were talking about it because it's really fucked up and like, yeah, like I neither of us have watched it as a side note here.
It's like wasn't he like he was part of a party, but he was like getting bullied all the time?
Yeah.
or
So
something
what
like that?
his thing was, because I had watched someone talk about it, because the concept wasn't super fucked up, but like what he does. So basically, he's a healer for a party, but the way he heals people is effectively he takes their pain. So when he heals someone's broken arm, he feels his arm break, basically. It doesn't actually break, but he feels it. So it causes a lot of psychological damage to him. And he either gets like isekai'd or there's some weird time jump back into the past because some demon lord bullshit. I can't exactly like remember
It's
what they
weird.
said.
It's weird time stuff.
But yeah,
Timey-wimey
he
bullshit.
goes back to before he joined the party and he's like, okay, I know all this shit's gonna happen. I'm pissed as hell at these people for like putting me through some shit. And he tries to kind of play it straight, gets back in with like the fighter and everything, and they're like lords or whatever, powerful people, and they start torturing him for whatever reason. I can't remember why. But basically, he ends up like knowing all of this in advance, so he like does some magic bullshit to put someone else in his place, and then they find out, and he's torturing like their lady mage person and does some weird sex stuff to her, and basically he's trying to get revenge, and it's revenge porn, and everyone was like, this is fucked up. And yeah, it's fucked up, but it's like it's actually like it's borderline hentai because like they show a bunch of the nudity apparently. So a bunch of people, especially Twitter, were like, yo, what the fuck is this? And yeah, it's fucked up. But yeah, the guy that did that the assassin,
which you wouldn't know because this one is not like that.
yeah, from what I've heard, it is
Okay.
not revenge porn.
I'm surprised because I would have assumed that you would have gone with like a ReZero or like Shield
Oh,
Hero or something.
I would, but that was just like the most recent one I watched. I started to watch season 2 of Shield Hero. I think I'm just not in the right mindset for it because I was like, I turned it off.
I think I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch season 1 again
Yeah.
to like get back into it.
I
I haven't tried
still-
starting it yet.
Let's see. I like that one. That Demon Misfit, a Demon King or Demon Misfit Academy. I also watched that one this month or last month. That one's pretty good.
So
I still have-
what's your top then?
Overlord.
Well, it's a video game. What's your top isekai into a fantasy?
Do I have a list?
He's got to check Mal real quick. It is weird. Like, it does make me wonder when we're gonna stop getting isekai into fantasy worlds and get something weird. Like, where's my
It's
space
never
opera
gonna stop.
isekai? Like, give me some weird shit.
Technically, Devil is a part-timer is Isekai.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like reverse isekai though, because it's
Yeah.
like he's going to the
Yeah.
real world, which is why that's good.
And that's super solid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super
it's
solid
finally getting another season this year.
Is it really?
Yep. So
I
like
thought that was gonna happen.
bunch of years later.
finally, yeah, it was like 2013, I think. it
I was
came
gonna
out.
say I watched that show in I think 2014.
Yeah, it's like 2013, 2014. So 7-8 years later.
Long time.
Slime's definitely up there.
Yeah.
Slime's super solid, really good. I really like Saga of Tanya the Evil.
Oh, I think we started that one together.
Oh,
Isn't it
yeah.
where like
shit, yeah.
this guy gets like reborn into like this little girl?
He dies,
Body
he gets
or something like that?
reincarnated, and he's like telling this reincarnation god to go fuck himself. So he's like, "Fine, you're gonna be a little girl now."
Yeah. Yeah, because he's
Mr.
like,
X.
because that's the one where he's just like, this is bullshit. Like, I could,
He's-
like, I'll
he's
be
like,
fine in whatever world. Like,
Yeah,
fuck you.
he's-
And he's like,
I don't
okay.
believe anything.
He's like, you're gonna be a little girl in like World War II.
Yeah.
Good luck, bitch.
Well, magical World War II.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
see like stuff like that, like isekai people into like weird settings like that. Like, yeah, let's go like mid 1900s Europe, like the fucking worst place you could be put in. Let's go. Let's put magic in it too, because we need more destruction. That's really good though. I actually do like them too.
So like Shield Hero's really good, Slime's really good, and Saga of Tanya the Evil.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
good up there.
Let's see, I liked ReZero, but it's one
Yeah.
of those things where it's hard for me to like get back into it because I haven't watched
Yeah.
the second season,
Mhm.
and because it's at times kind of exhausting to watch.
It's yeah, absolutely.
Because it's not like one of those things where it's just like, oh, I'm in another world. It's just like he gets brutally murdered
multiple times. Many.
repeatedly.
Yeah.
And it is just like,
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 damn, dude,
okay.
this sucks.
fuck. So it's like sometimes it's just like it's hard to just like sit, and the fact that like it, like a lot of episodes start running together because like how many like he just dies and has to keep doing it until and you get more
Yeah.
information off of like different deaths.
His life is turning into a roguelike.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
Welcome
much.
to your life in Dark Souls. Get high.
So like I feel like that's, you know, kind of like hard for me to just like jump into whenever.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Shield Hero the first season at least, but that's another one where I have to kind of be like in a different mindset to I think get
Yeah.
started because like
It also started
first
that
half
way.
of it he
Pretty
gets
psychological.
shit on.
Yeah, super hard.
Like honestly, it's like yeah, people like, you know, people like him now and everything like that.
Except for the other heroes, they still don't fucking like him.
Well, the spear one doesn't. Like the bow one was the one of the
Yeah.
only ones that was just like, well,
Yeah.
let's wait a second here.
But like there's like another event that's happening that's not the was it the gates or the waves?
Yeah.
So there's another event that's not a wave that is starting to happen, and like they summon all the heroes, and then Malfumi's like, yeah, we should totally do this, and the other guys are like, all the other heroes are like, nah, we're only here for the waves, so you can fuck off and do that on your own if you want. We're not helping you. And I'm like, okay, so they're still dicks. Like these waves did nothing to help that. I mean, they don't think he's shitty. They just don't want to work. They don't want to. They're just selfish.
Yeah. And I think that's another. I think it's a part of it is just like it can be. It's a bit brutal, not in the same sense that ReZero is brutal, but brutal in the sense that like,
Yeah.
dude cannot get a break.
No.
Like I was talking to somebody about it, and they were talking about how like, you know, like Rolf Talia is like one of the only decent people in there because she like chooses to like continue to be with him and believes in him. And my argument that the best character is the blacksmith, because even when like everybody like was just like, this guy's the worst of the worst, like he's a piece of shit and all this stuff, like nobody would give him the time of day, blacksmith was still like like, all right, dude, I'll help you out. Like, here's what I can do for you. Like he still gave him the benefit of the doubt. Super pro. But think for like the fantasy one, like probably gonna be the reincarnated as a slime. Because like a lot of the times, like overall, like it feels pretty lighthearted. Like there gets some like serious-ish type stuff, but like it's solid. And it doesn't get like real harem-y.
No.
Because he's a genderless slime.
Yeah, that helps.
So there's that, and it's basically like there's not really a harem. It's just like, you know, two of these like kaijin that are like fighting over his affection.
Yeah.
But it's I guess it's more wholesome, I guess. It's not one of those where it's just like I gotta watch this one. I gotta get through it. It's not as draining. It's like a all right, things are going well. He just wants to make a little goblin town, a little monster village, and live comfortably. Like I can respect that.
That Wise Man Grandchild's also pretty good.
Yeah, it was amusing. I thought it was funny. It was good, mainly because it was just like a single love interest as well in that one.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like a lot of his like amazing abilities are just the fact. The only thing that they mention about him like being an other world or anything like that is just the fact that like he knows like chemistry and science and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, I'm gonna do this fire thing. I was like, I'm gonna add a lot more oxygen into this and see what happens. And it's just like this giant blast.
Yeah.
And then like how he's like using like the teleport thing and like how he's like trying to explain like physics and everything to these people, and there's like this doesn't make any sense. Like how the fuck are you doing this? It's amusing. It's fun to sit and give it a watch. But for me, it's one of those great. It's one of the good background ones.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be skipping IMDb because I didn't realize Dean is late to something because we were talking about lizard sex.
That's my excuse.
Yeah, just be like, oh, sorry guys, I was having a very important conversation about lizard intercourse.
And that you had to educate me on all the anime porn apparently that you've watched.
Yeah, you had to talk about Redo of Healer.
Yeah.
And that Demon Lord one.
How not to summon a Demon Lord. Yeah, if
Yeah,
you don't
one.
like anything, if you don't like extreme ecchi fan service, don't watch it.
I don't know.
Which I could do without it.
We'll see.
I just like overpowered protagonists.
I mean, I'll die on the hill for High School DxD, so I'm the kind of trash that might watch it. I doubt it.
I've never watched that.
Got 4 seasons, Sevy.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you to watch it. But
all I remember about
it
is that Dean was just like, it's got really good fight scenes.
Yeah.
It does have a lot of tits, but it's got really good fight scenes.
The fights in the lore is good, but there's
Okay.
a lot of tits.
A lot of titties.
Yeah,
Exposed
like
nipples.
tons of countries worth of titties. Small countries, but countries nonetheless. But yeah, so we'll talk about IMDb next time. So we've been the Weeb Trash Podcast. Be sure to stay tuned. I've been Cody.
I'm Dean.
And I'm here.
And now we're not.